It may seem like yesterday, but it was a year ago yesterday the Penguins celebrated a first Stanley Cup with their beloved coach Bob Johnson. A year passes. Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr have become a phenomenal 1-2 knockout punch for a guy who's won 5 championships, Scotty Bowman. You need to go back 31 years to find the names of Chicago Blackhawks players on the Stanley Cup, but within 2 weeks, Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick and Mike Keenan could be there. 2 teams who've reached their best collective skill at the perfect time. The city on 3 rivers, host to the finals again. It's Pittsburgh, where the defending champs are about to go on the offense on Sports Channel America. To reach this point, Pittsburgh first had to take out the second best team in the league, the Washington Capitals. They did it in 7. That gave them the right to meet the best team in the league, and they knocked off the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers in 6. Then came Boston, and victory came magnificently in 4. The Penguins have won their last 7 games in a row. The Blackhawks got home ice for their series with St. Louis in the first round, and the Blues were dispatched in 6. Next, the top team in the Campbell Conference, the Detroit Red Wings. It ended in a sweep, and the Brooms were out for another impressive 4-game run. This time, the Blackhawks ran over the Edmonton Oilers. The Blackhawks have won 11 in a row. 2 teams that haven't lost in a long time. The Blackhawks and the Penguins, the Stanley Cup finalists here at Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Hi everybody, I'm Mike Emmerich, delighted to be here with Sports Channel America for the Stanley Cup Finals between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks. These 2 teams had 87 points apiece in the regular season schedule of 80 games. Pittsburgh got home ice advantage because they had 3 more wins than Chicago. If you like watching a team that puts interesting goals on the board and exciting ones with end-to-end dashes, the things that make highlight reels, you're going to love watching Pittsburgh. If you like a team that goes to old-time hockey when it comes to hitting, when it comes to making you pay if you want to touch the puck, you're going to love watching the Chicago Blackhawks. This will not be a dull series, and I don't think it'll be a short one. For our men in the booth, we have gotten incomparable experience. Our play-by-play man has 4 straight Stanley Cup final years with the New York Islanders, and it is his 4th straight Stanley Cup finals with Sports Channel America, Jigs McDonald, and he's joined by a man who is working his 7th consecutive Stanley Cup final on United States national television, Bill Clement. Gentlemen,
Mike, this series probably has some of the best components to make it the series that we'll never forget. And, of course, the key factor, Mario Lemieux. The Boston Bruins couldn't find a way to stop him, in particular Raymond Bourque. Now, how does Chicago go about stopping the big guy?
I think Mike Keenan will use Chris Chelios and Steve Smith, the 2 guys that were his towers of power in the last series against Mario. No problem physically with these guys. I mean, they're studs, so they can handle Mario Lemieux physically. I think the challenge is mental. These guys have to be patient on the offensive blue line. If they pinch in and get caught, the Penguins get 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s. They kill you when you give them those breaks. But even more than that, they need help. They need 3 forwards that are with them, at least 1 back, so that they don't end up with 3-on-2. So the challenge for Chelios and Smith, it won't be physical, it will be mental.
And there's more than just Mario in this situation with Pittsburgh, and some arsenal as well in the offense of that Chicago Blackhawk team.
Well, Jeremy Roenick is a guy that the Blackhawks think can elevate his game to a Mario Lemieux-like level. And really, I think that's Chicago's hope in this series, that Jeremy Roenick will accept the challenge as if it were a one-on-one confrontation, Roenick against Lemieux.
Only thing that would make it better, Mike, was this a best-of-13 series.
That all, it'd be pretty exciting stuff here for the finals. Sports Channel America has added 1 more guy to our roster. He'll be all over this Civic Arena tonight. 10 years a goaltender in the National Hockey League, and for 7 years an analyst of NHL games too. Not far away, near the benches, I believe, is where John Davidson is right now.
Mike, what we have here are 2 great coaches. We have the teacher in Scotty Bowman. We have the pupil in Mike Keenan. This goes way back to 1983 when Mike Keenan was coaching the Rochester Americans. They won the American Hockey League Championship. They were the farm team for the Buffalo Sabres. That team was run by Scotty Bowman. Now, you have to remember that Mike Keenan's done a great job. This is his 3rd Cup final, even though he has yet to win one. Way back in '73, Chicago was in their last Stanley Cup final, and the head coach for Montreal, the team that beat Chicago out, was Scotty Bowman. So he's back to meet the Blackhawks again. You remember that Scotty's won 5 rings as a coach behind the bench. He goes for 6. You have 2 winners coaching in this series. It should be a matchup of wits on and off the ice. Mike?
2 teams on a roll, and the same for the goalies. Adrenaline just rushing all over this place. The search for an edge in this Stanley Cup Final Series will begin in just a moment.
Welcome back to Mario's Place, the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, where this guy, number 66, reigns. And in the playoffs of '92, 11 goals, 16 assists. He leads everybody.
But this will be the ultimate test for Mario Lemieux. I don't think he has ever faced a team that has played as high a brand or at as high a level of defensive hockey, team-wise, as the Chicago Blackhawks.
Now let's meet the players of the 1992 Stanley Cup Final.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Game 1 of the 1992 Stanley Cup Championship Series between the Campbell Conference champion Chicago Blackhawks and the Wales Conference champion Pittsburgh Penguins. And now introducing the Campbell Conference champion Chicago Blackhawks. Number 2, defenseman Brian Marchment. Defenseman number 3, Igor Kravchuk. Number 5, Steve Smith. Number 6, František Kuchera. Number 7, Chris Chelios. Number 8, Cam Russell. Number 10, Brian Noonan. Number 12, Brent Sutter. Number 16, Michel Goulet. Number 20, Mike Hudson. Number 22, Robbie Brown. Number 23, Stu Grimson. Number 26, Jocelyn Lemieux. Number 27, Jeremy Roenick. Number 28, Steve Larmer. Number 30, Ed Belfour. Number 31, Dominic Hasek. Number 32, Stefan Matteau. Number 33, Dirk Graham. Number 44, Mike Peluso. General Manager and Head Coach of the Blackhawks, Mike Keenan. Associate Coach Darryl Sutter. Assistant Coaches Rich Preston and Dave McDowell. And now, introducing the Wales Conference champion, Pittsburgh Penguins. Number 2, Jim Pack. Number 5, Ulf Samuelsson. Number 10, Ron Francis. Number 12, Bob Airey. Number 14, Jock Callender. Number 15, Sean McEachran. Number 19, Brian Trottier. Number 22, Paul Stanton. Number 23, Shel Samuelson. Number 24, Troy Loney. Number 25, Kevin Stevens. Number 28, Gordy Roberts. Number 29, Phil Bourque. Number 31, Ken Regan. Number 35, Tom Barrasso. Number 38, Yuri Herdina. Number 55, Larry Murphy. Number 68, Jaromir Jagr. Number 92, Rick Tocchet. And number 66, Mario Lemieux. General Manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Craig Patrick. Director of Player Development and Interim Coach, Scott Bowman. Assistant coaches, Rick Kehoe, Pierre Maguire, Rick Patterson, and Barry Smith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and direct your attention to the flags above the scoreboard and join Christina Aguilera in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars the rule the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
11-year-old Christina Aguilera and her rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner prior to Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final of 1992. We've talked about the big guy, Mario Lemieux. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, if you're a Pittsburgh player, you have to be concerned about the guys in the red uniforms, and especially this young man.
Well, you should be, and especially if you are a Pittsburgh coach. And make no mistake about it, Scotty Bowman will have to pay a lot of attention to 22-year-old Jeremy Roenick. 10 goals, 10 assists. He is a coming superstar. He is already a superstar. I think next to Mario Lemieux, he shrinks in stature just a touch, but don't think that Scotty Bowman does not have to pay attention to this kid. He is a tremendous hockey player, so watch for Ron Francis to be out there against Roenick.
The goal judges, the penalty timekeepers, are from Washington. Their first time in a Stanley Cup Final after the team has been in the league for 18 years. The supervisor of officials for the series is Brian Lewis. And tonight's opening game will be refereed by Andy Van Hellemond, one of three who have reached the final round. Working the lines, Kevin Collins and Gerard Gauthier. The standby referee is Terry Gregson, and the standby linesman for this opening game is Swede Knox. Talking about the guys from Washington, they handle the Capitals games all season long, and Ed Belfour, who has been simply brilliant. Only 6 goals against in the sweep of Detroit, only 8 against in the sweep of Edmonton. And
Tom Barrasso has faced more shots than Ed Belfour, and he has been tremendous as well.
The opening face-off brought to you by Molson, a part of the National Hockey League tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. The Hawks in the red uniforms defending the goal to the left, and they're in control of the puck after Pittsburgh had dumped it in. Out through the center ice area, Brent Sutter tips it over the Pittsburgh line, and that's cleared back by Kevin Stevens. Now Lemieux moves up the left side, got bumped by Dirk Graham, the Blackhawks captain, and here's Chelios, checked from behind by Stevens. Murphy took a hit from Brent Sutter, but he got the puck to Stevens. His shot just wide of Belfort. Covering the left point is Roberts, in deep to Stevens. Steve Smith steps in front of him, and the Blackhawks fail to clear the zone. Murphy with a shot, tipped and wide of the net. Comes to the left side, Roberts held it in. Kevin Stevens trying to tip it around Chris Chelios. Now comes back along the boards, held in here by Tocchet. Lemieux pushed to the boards, cross-checked by Steve Smith. Some scuffling going on. Smith is yet to release Mario Lemieux. Lemieux just now recovers his stick, and the puck is dumped down the ice by the Blackhawks. First man to touch it is Murphy, and that'll be an icing call against Chicago. 1 minute and 9 seconds into the opening period.
Well, Mike Keenan is making his third trip to the finals. He had two when he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. He is still looking for his first Stanley Cup win, and he's going up against a man who is making his 9th appearance in the finals, and Scotty Bowman is riding a consecutive streak of 5 Stanley Cup wins. He lost his first 3 when he coached the St. Louis Blues, but when he was the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, 5 in a row.
Now Scotty Bowman has sent out a forward line that has Ron Francis at center ice, Sean McEachran on right wing, and Bob Airey on the left side. Airey was injured in the series with the New York Rangers. Airey, number 12, moves in after a loose puck. Jeremy Roenick's line is out for Chicago, and here's Roenick. Roenick dumps it in from center. First chance to play the puck for Barrasso, and it's up off the boards. Cam Russell chasing it, but here's McEachran with great speed. Diving play by Marchment. Then McEachran gets a chance, and Belfort able to cover the puck and hold it.
The Pittsburgh Penguins showing us what kind of speed they have. That's why I think the Blackhawks' positional play will be as important as anything in this series. Sean McEachran, tremendous burst of speed through the neutral zone after Bob Airey had squeezed Roenick off the play going the other end. McEachran did a good job. As Brian Marchment dove for the puck, he actually got a piece of it, and instead of just dumping it out in front blindly, McEachran tried to jam it in on the side. Ron Francis poking for the rebound.
And here at the game tonight, the celebrity captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, Jim Belushi. All part of the 75th anniversary of the NHL. He hasn't missed very many games, has he? He is the Blackhawks, answer to Jack Nicholson and the Lakers. Mario Lemieux back out for Pittsburgh. This time he has Phil Bourque on the left side and Jaromir Jagr on the right. Jell Samuelson and Jim Pack, the defense combination. Back of that Chicago goal, the puck tipped by Rob Brown. They get it to the left side, and Noonan comes to center ice. Ryan Noonan dumps it in. Again, Chelios and Smith are the defense combination for the Blackhawks with Lemieux out there.
They can expect so much ice time with Lemieux out there, or even when Jagr is out there. I mean, Chelios and Smith should log about 30 minutes of ice time in these games.
It was Mike Hudson who stepped into Jagr. Now Jagr brings the puck across the line. Taken out is Bourque on a pinch, and there will be a penalty against the Chicago Blackhawks. Interference on Phil Bourque, and Pittsburgh will put the power play to work early in Game 1 of the Cup Final.
Well, Mike Hudson is off for interference, so something the Blackhawks have to pay attention to, and that is the penalty situation is upon them. Now, Mike Hudson had come back and he'd done a little button hook, and he actually turned and faced Phil Bourque, but you can't take a guy out that doesn't have the puck, so pretty good call by Andy Van Hellemond, and the Penguins get to put their power play on the ice, a power play that's been pretty effective in the playoffs.
I'll say, compared to what they did in the regular season, they're up 3 percentage points during the playoffs. That long shot by Murphy got through, and Chelios took it from Ed Belfort and dumps it down the ice right to Tom Barrasso. Barrasso goes to the right side to Murphy, now to Stevens, up the middle, has Tocchet with him on the left, 2 men back, the pass is to Tocchet, backhands it toward the corner, here's Lemieux. Put it to the side of the net for Stevens, down to Lemieux, back to the point, Francis had a bounce off his skate. Recovered in time to move it to Larry Murphy. Up ahead to Stevens. Stevens brings the power play to the line. His shot was deflected by Chelios. As Chelios found a man open here on the right wing boards, and Steve Larmer has played it out through center and back into the Pittsburgh zone. This is Murphy going back. Larmer comes into forecheck, flushing Murphy from back of the net. Murphy up the right side. That's Jagr with it. 3 Blackhawks. Jagr got through. His shot blocked. The rebound hit the outside of the net. The Chicago Blackhawks killing a penalty, fire it down the ice.
Jigs, that's something we hardly ever see. Jaromir Jagr has just kind of unveiled a new weapon. He was in the middle of a deep trying to get between two Hawks, and he took a quick shot. He hardly ever shoots.
Amazing, isn't it? Now the Chicago Blackhawks, the Penguins rather, are called on the offside as McEachran brought the puck in with a man trapped inside the blue line.
You can set up so many things when you mix your offense. If the defense know that you're going to try and beat them one-on-one or one-on-two all the time, it's just a matter of backing in against your goaltender. But here Jagr will make a little move on Chelios, and watch what he does. He makes the move, and as soon as he makes the move, he just lets it rip. And it was a good shot, too. Eddie Belfour couldn't control the rebound. Sean McEachran had a real good chance. It looked like it bulged the twine, but it did from the outside. That had to surprise Belfour. For Belfour's sake, it was a good thing that he was in good position. He was out at the top of his crease.
I'm sure if you were to talk to Jaromir Jagr right now, he would tell you, I saw Mario do that, so I tried. Still 30 seconds remaining in this Pittsburgh power play. Jagr gets them across the line. Lemieux back to Jagr. The pass just out of his reach. Francis in after it. Allows Jagr to handle it. Gave it to Francis. To Mario Lemieux. Lemieux chased to the corner by Russell. Got it to Francis. Out of Stevens. Evan Stevens waddled up back of the net and centered in front of, backhanded by Jagr, and he can't get it up over Eddie Belfour.
What a tremendous pass by Mario Lemieux. One of the keys to playing with Lemieux is you have to be ready, and a guy like Jagr is one of the smartest players in that area. I mean, if you're a guy that doesn't think offensively, Mario Lemieux is going to surprise you. Excellent play out to Mario Lemieux, and he didn't even try to shoot on Belfour. He just slipped it over to Jagr. Jagr was on his backhand, so he wasn't able to get too much on it. But here is Jagr just patiently waiting. And he told us a couple of days ago that when you're with Mario, if you stay ready, sooner or later the puck is going to come to you.
Both Stefan Matteau and Igor Kravchuk trying to tie up Jaromir Jagr. Now 10 seconds left in this penalty time against Hudson of the Blackhawks. McEachran is in the middle to take the face-off for the Pittsburgh Penguins. On the draw for Chicago, Jeremy Roenick. At this point, Pittsburgh has had 4 shots on goal with the man advantage. The Blackhawks still looking for their first test of Tom Barrasso at the other end of the ice. But they have killed off this penalty to Hudson. Teams at full and equal strength as Roenick winds up at the Chicago line, then dropped it back to Chelios. Up through the middle. Samuelson broke up the pass. And here's McEachran. He's given it to Stanton. Up the boards. That's going to go the length of the ice. We'll get a whistle, provided the Blackhawks touch up first, and they do. Routine icing call, as it turns out. 4.5 minutes into the opening period. No score at Pittsburgh.
Well, Eddie Belfour has made 5 saves against the Penguins. These are his first saves against the Penguins in over a year and a half, going back to December the 11th, 1990. He did not face them this season. At the end of the 90-91 season, he played 7 minutes and 59 seconds of a game, and he allowed 1 goal and 1 shot, so he hadn't stopped a shot against Pittsburgh in over a year and a half.
Wow, that is amazing. Now the Blackhawks get their first opportunity, and Michel Goulet shot it wide. Played around the boards here. Chicago centering it out in front of his tip. Jumping up to join the play, however, was Brian Marchment, and he couldn't get it on target. Rocket can't clear it out, and Barrasso makes a stop off a long shot. Allows absolutely nothing in the way of a rebound, and you see the way they pinball Jeremy Roenick around in front of the net.
And Tom Barrasso will hang on to the puck the way he did against the Boston Bruins. The Bruins brought a pretty good forechecking game to the ice surface. The Blackhawks even better than that, and one way to diffuse the forecheck is not to put the puck back in play. That's what forecheckers want. If they take a long shot, goalie catches it, or they're just dying for him to dump it back into the corner to try and dump it out of the zone. Barrasso will not do it. He won't do it here. He especially will not do it in Chicago, where the building is even smaller and they're on you quicker.
He'll have to be at the top of his game for the Pittsburgh Penguins to repeat as Stanley Cup champs. And you know that Chicago will ride the goaltending of Ed Belfour. Does come right down to goaltending, plus offense and defense. But you've got to have the man make the big save in order to win. And here's Kevin Stevens bringing the Penguins through center and dumping it in. Mike Peluso out on the ice for Chicago. Jaromir Jagr here on the left side collided with Jocelyn Lemieux. And they're right back at one another. Lemieux gave the puck away. Jagr got it to Stevens, back to the net. There's Mario Lemieux. Lemieux looks for Pack, who had jumped into the play. Now he centers it out to Yager. Has to take it to the corner. Is met there by Kravchuk. Mario Lemieux looks for a man in front. Centered. Yager was covered by Kravchuk, and the Blackhawks come out of the zone. Down the right side and dumping the puck in is Jocelyn Lemieux. Quickly, Shel Samuelson clears it back through center, and Steve Smith gives chase. Both teams trying to make some player changes. Brent Sutter has come out on the ice for Chicago as Smith turns it up the left wing boards, and it's dumped on in by Stefan Matteau. Rosso to play the puck. Went to the left wing boards this time. Here is Yager with a pass to Lemieux. To Yager. Yager trying to get it back to Lemieux, and it was out of his reach. And Lemieux and Chelios bump as they go back of the net. The puck loose, and it's recovered by the Blackhawks. Going to the left side. They try to dump it in wide, and Barrasso was out to play it. Dirk Graham came in to dock it away and could not. Here's Matteau. He gets checked by Trottier. Sutter is there, and his shot went wide. Off Barrasso's stick. Held in again. Here's Brent Sutter. Barrasso to stop. The rebound. Sutter with a backhander. Barrasso got a chunk of that. Brent Sutter tied up in the end boards. Gordy Roberts all over him. Dirk Graham sneaks in. There's a delayed penalty called down. It'll be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Blackhawks get a chance to use the power play. We pause now for a regional break. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Championship round is scoreless. You're watching the action on Sports Channel.
Gord Roberts is off for holding, and that's something the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be forced into as this series wears on. The Blackhawks are so aggressive forechecking. Every once in a while, they're going to get position on you, and you're going to have to take somebody and hold him to keep him from getting out in front, and Brent Sutter was doing such a good job. Gord Roberts didn't have much of a choice there. Sutter would have just hooped around and tried a backhand stuffer.
Now the Blackhawks on the power play. Chelios scores! Seven seconds after the penalty to Roberts, Chicago takes the lead.
One thing about Chris Chelios, he will take what you give him. All of the good players do. And with one of the Penguins down, and that's what the fans were yelling for, they wanted a penalty. When Francis went down, boy, it put Larry Murphy in a tough spot. Does he move out to face Chelios? Does he let him come to him? Well, Larry Murphy kind of hedged. He went part of the way and looked like he may have been screening Tom Barrasso a little bit. But something that hasn't happened very often just happened. A goal went between Tom Barrasso's legs right through the 5-hole. So Chris Chelios took advantage of Ron Francis being down at the top of the penalty-killing box, slipped by him, and has given Chicago a 1-0 lead.
All it took. Each team with 5 shots, but now Yager moves in on the left side as the Penguins are back into that Chicago zone. Roberts got checked. Yager brought it back in offside. So the clock is stopped with 13 minutes and 11 seconds left in this first period.
Mike Keenan told me yesterday that Chris Chelios in the playoffs has played as well as any defenseman that he has ever coached at any level. And to make it this far, you have to have players playing to their potential, especially your top players. And Chelios, out of the corner of his eye, saw Francis go down, and boy, did he seize the opportunity. Just exploded by that spot that was vacant, and then let it rip when he ran into Larry Murphy.
Brent Sutter getting the only assist. He won the draw. Chelios puts the puck in the net. 1-0 Chicago. Larry Murphy and Gord Roberts on defense for the the Penguins, excuse me. And the opportunity here by Murphy to try and get it out. It went up off the scoreboard, so they'll face the puck off back inside the Pittsburgh zone.
Boy, what a luxury when you have a defenseman that has been as strong defensively as Chris Chelios has been for the Blackhawks, but also a guy that just scored a 6th goal to go along with 11 assists. He's got 17 points. And another amazing number is the plus-minus total of Chris Chelios and his defense partner, Steve Smith. Coming into this game, the first of the finals, in the playoffs alone, they are a combined plus 31.
And they've cut down the penalty minutes against compared to what they'd had compiled during the regular season. That was Smith that unloaded from the blue line. Wicked shot. Rosso scooped it up and held on. Bill, I don't recall a Stanley Cup final in the last 5-6 years where both teams have been quite as healthy as both the Blackhawks and the Penguins are coming into this one.
I think we're all going to benefit from that, the fans and the people that get to call the games. Bob Airey is back in the lineup for the Penguins tonight. He was out with a shoulder. Joey Mullen is out for the season, and he is really their only serious injury. Mike Keenan is healthy except for Keith Brown. So all of the big name players are here, and the big numbers are here as well.
Blackhawks get the draw. Smith with a shot. Barrasso the stop, and then he swipes at it and makes contact. Chelios puts it back in the net. Larmer got checked there by Ulf Samuelson. And Stanton falling, lost the puck, but the Blackhawks failed to center it. This is Ron Francis trying to get away from JR. Jeremy Roenick. Walt Samuelson moved it on to the stick of Tocchet. It's across the line, trying to go through the defense, got chased wide. Now he centers it across. There's Stanton with a shot. That ends up back of the net. Jeremy Roenick turns it up the boards. Oh, Samuelson with a thundering hit. Man, did he hit Larmer. Now let's put back of the net. Lemieux puts it in the goal mouth, and taken down in the play is Tocchet. Play allowed to continue. The Penguins recovering at center, but Paul Stanton couldn't get it into the zone. And across the line here, Rob Brown gets tied up on the boards. And Ulf Samuelson connecting with Brown. The puck came outside the line. They bring it back in, and a quick shot from Noonan went wide. 1-0 Chicago. The Penguins chasing a loose puck toward the Chicago line, but can't recover. Ryan Marchment is checked. And here is Sean McEachran for Pittsburgh to Lemieux. To Stevens. Lemieux trying to slip away from his check. Stevens walks in for a drive. That went off Belfour. And the Blackhawks, Igor Kravchuk has shot it down the ice. It'll be an icing call against Chicago as Shel Samuelson. Well, he didn't touch it. And it stays onside as the Blackhawks got to a loose puck. Nonchalant on the part of Shel Samuelson, and now the Blackhawks have the Penguins hemmed in. Brent Sutter back of the net. Around to Jocelyn Lemieux. He feeds the blue line. Long shot. That by Kuchera, and it went wide. Look at the way they go to the man with the puck. The Blackhawks in red, getting into the Penguins every chance they can.
Yeah, that miscue by Samuelson was really a gift because the Blackhawks had no forechecking pressure at all. As soon as Samuelson overskated, it allowed them to start their forechecking machine.
Now the Penguins trying to catch the Blackhawks in a player change. They've dumped it down into the Chicago zone. Little less than 11 minutes remaining in the opening period. Chicago leading 1-0 as Brent Sutter has backhanded the puck wide of the net. Backboard is Ron Francis of Pittsburgh. Another big hit, this by Peluso. Comes back to Graham, centered it out in front. Yager lost it, a quick shot. Belfour down has made the save, and Francis frees the puck, gave it to Yager. There's a delayed penalty against Chicago to be called. Yager is over the line. Yager, a backhander, went wide. As Dirk Graham gets to the puck, that'll be a penalty call coming up against Chicago and a Pittsburgh power play.
Well, the Blackhawks had their forechecking game cranked up, but the Penguins were headed out of the zone when Mike Peluso really did hook Ron Francis back. Before that, the huge collision, Peluso with what he does best. I mean, he just ran over Ron Francis, so that was legal. But after the Hawks' pressure, and really Barrasso had to be quick on his feet a couple of times, Peluso dragged Francis down from behind. Now, a little earlier, doesn't matter who's on the ice against Mario Lemieux, they want him picked up when they're headed into the Chicago end. So Mike Keenan on this one, Steve Larmer has picked up the assignment. So Mike Keenan has obviously told his guys, look, if I don't have the matchup out there that I want, somebody pick him up, but be ready to pay the price.
Oh, I'll say.
See, that's the difference between the Penguins' power forwards and the big line for Chicago. Roenick's 170 pounds and Larmer's 185 pounds. They can't match the size of Lemieux and Stevens and Yager. So guys like Ulf Samuelson are going to have a field day hitting as well.
Now Pittsburgh with the man advantage. Francis centers it across, and it was shot wide by Mario Lemieux. Lemieux gets checked in the corner. Murphy pinches in. Stevens backs him up with a pass here to Tocchet. Starting to get away from Chelios. He's given it to Murphy. Murphy to Stevens out in front, and Tocchet couldn't get to the pass, and the Blackhawks shoot it down the ice. Half a minute has ticked off in this penalty to Peluso. Pittsburgh, in their first power play chance of the night, had 4 shots on goal, looking for their first now, and a big collision on the far side. That rattled Kevin Stevens, but Tocchet frees the puck, gave it to Stevens, down to Lemieux, breaks in, Lemieux pulls up, looks for somebody to give it to the late man Francis, and he couldn't handle it. Murphy to Lemieux, back to Francis, centers it to the side of the net. That's Rick Tocchet playing it away from Smith. To Lemieux, put it out in front. Francis had a jump over his stick, and he has to go back. Now 50 seconds remaining in this Pittsburgh power play. They trail 1-0, and they'll have to start it deep in their own zone now. Russell played it to the far side to Murphy. Out to Stevens. Goulet was right on him, and the Blackhawks broke up the rush. Now Larry Murphy goes cross ice. Yager has it. Yager, and it knocked off his stick. Nice play by Igor Kravchuk, and it's shot down the ice by the Blackhawks. 28 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power play. Here's Ulf Samuelson. Lugs the puck toward center, then gave it to Sean McEachran, who elects to dump it in. Dirk Graham picks it up and shoots it down the ice. Quickly, Barrasso out to meet it. Paul Stanton will make the exchange with the goaltender. Brent Sutter is into forecheck for Chicago. Stanton to Yager, off his skates, up to the stick. Yager drives off left wing, can't get around. Igor Kravchuk. Now the puck goes loose at the side of the net. They try to stuff it in, and Belfour makes the save. Big stop for Eddie Belfour on a bouncing puck in that goal mouth. It stays 1-0 Chicago. Eight stops for Ed Belfour thus far, and a 1-0 Chicago lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Quite a bit of traffic in close around Belfour as well. I mean, a lot of these shots that he has faced have come from areas just like this one. Yager got taken off the play, and it took two Blackhawks to do it. Sean McEachran tried to jam it in from the side, and then Brian Trottier tried to help him. But you noticed a couple of times on that power play, Jaromir Jagr came to the blue line and tried to beat people one-on-one or one-on-two. Don't have to do that on a power play. You get it in. If you can skate it into the zone, turn it back up along the boards, and then you can set up your power play.
There's a booming shot from the point off the stick of Stanton, and a pad save. The Penguins trying to hold it in. Bob Airy is up with Trottier and McEachran. McEachran knocked the puck away from Roenick. And Paul Stanton feeds it across the line. Bob Airy with it, a burst of speed, but he is unable to get completely around Frank Kuchera. Kuchera taking the place of Keith Brown in the Blackhawks lineup tonight. Steve Larmer gives it away. McEachran's shot is blocked. McEachran trying to put it in front again, and Marchment has it for Chicago. Plays it out towards center, and Ulf Samuelsson is back. Samuelsson to McEachran, the pass to Trottier. Shoots one just wide of Belfour. Bouncing off the board, Stanton, who had pinched in, puts it back in the net again. Here is Kuchera. Blackhawks up 1-0. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We're at Pittsburgh tonight. We'll be here again on Thursday for Game 2 of this series. Penguins move the puck out towards center. Blackhawks defenseman Steve Smith shoots it right back in again. Here is Kjell Samuelsson. Hard around the boards, off Yager, held by Chelios, and his shot skipped wide of the net. Samuelsson steps in front of Mike Hudson and plays the puck down into the Chicago zone. Pittsburgh will be called for having iced it. Clock stopped with just a little more than 7 minutes to play in this opening period. Well, you had a look at Elvis a few moments ago. I wanted to get your fashion statement on his cape, but no doubt we'll see him again tonight, Bill.
Well, the Hawks, true to form so far, are showing us again that they are a dump and chase team. At even strength, they have had 10 rushes, and they have dumped it in on 9 of them. Chris Chelios, if you give him an opening, will carry it, but he's smart enough to stick to Mike Keenan's system, so most of the time he will dump. And Steve Larmer has turned into a pretty strong defensive force in this game so far. We showed you a little earlier, him right beside Mario Lemieux. He is good in every aspect of the game, Larmer is. This time he had Brian Trottier to tie up, and he finishes it off. I mean, even when the puck had gone away from him, he was trying to stay with him, take him out of the play. Steve Larmer is underrated defensively. We know about him offensively.
Both teams have done excellent work in preparing for the series. And at the outset, it is all the components, all the ingredients to be a great one. The opening period has been just that. Chicago leads 1-0. A battle for the puck along the boards. Chelios is pinched in deep. Kjell Samuelsson spun it away from Hudson, and look at the check that Smith just threw, and it's 2-0 Chicago. They take the man off the puck and score for the 2-zip lead.
Already the Pittsburgh Penguins don't have something that they had against the Boston Bruins quite often, and that was enough time to make the play. Jaromir Jagr thought he had time, but Steve Smith got over there so quickly. And keep in mind, his defense partner was in the corner. I mean, Chris Chelios is here on the play, and as we let this thing run, you can see that there are a couple of Blackhawks in the corner that are forechecking. The Pittsburgh Penguins seem to be in pretty good shape, but watch Chelios now pinch into the corner, all the way in deep. While he's in the corner, the play ultimately ends up going over to the far side of the ice. And who ends up over there? Now, Chelios is in the corner here, digging away. Noonan has dropped back, but if we stop right here, we'll show you the guy that was pinching. Steve Smith, the defense partner. You want to know where Chris Chelios is? That's how quick he got out of the corner to back up his own defense partner.
And the goal is Goulet unassisted at 13:17 of the opening period. Goulet's third of the 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, the Penguins on home ice in a hole here in the first period, and the Blackhawks move out through center ice. This is Brent Sutter. Murphy cut in front of him. There's the puck toward the line, but Chelios is there. Chris Chelios with a shot off the stick. Loose in front of the Blackhawks lead 3-0. Dirk Graham finishes it off.
Man, does this aggressive machine have it wound up and revved up here. Tom Barrasso just lost this one. He came to him and it bounced to the other side. Wide open net. It was a rolling puck, but Dirk Graham just slammed it into the back of the net. Once again, Chris Chelios on the play, fanning on it. But somehow Tom Barrasso hooked that with one of his skates. I don't think Matteau, number 32 for the Blackhawks, touched it. He may have. But the puck went in exactly the wrong direction. Now it looked like Barrasso just hooked that with his skate when he moved his leg. And he hooked it right over to Dirk Graham. 13th year of pro hockey, but he's only spent half of it as a full-time player in the NHL. He's got to be enjoying this. Dirk Graham has given the Blackhawks a 3-0 lead.
And the goals came quickly. 26 seconds after Goulet made it 2-0. Graham with his fourth of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's 3-0 Chicago. This is Jeremy Roenick winding up with the puck. He has dumped it in deep. Barrasso out of the net. Lays it up the far side for McEachran. Can't get it through to Ron Francis. Goulet pinched in up to Roenick, and he can't backhand that on target. Jeremy Roenick to Michel Goulet. Goulet and Francis tumbled to the deck on that hit. The battle along the boards. Bill Bourque, it's tied up, but the puck did come outside the line, and now is shot back in, and that'll be an offside against Chicago. 5.5 minutes remaining in the opening period. The Blackhawks have a 3-0 lead.
Well, Mike Keenan knew that he had two defensive stars. They have been great in the playoffs, Smith and Chelios, and now they have helped offensively. Steve Smith put that one out to Michel Goulet, and he just ripped it by Tom Barrasso. Chris Chelios fanned on his shot, but he got a good carom off of Tom Barrasso's skate right to Dirk Graham. Those are the last two.
Now the Penguins break the zone with a pass that is too far for Kevin Stevens. Chris Chelios, the first man back. Got it out towards center. Jim Pack fires it on into the Chicago zone. And over on the far side, Brian Noonan recovered. And now it's being called by the officials and will face off in the Chicago end of the ice. Chelios, Goulet, and Graham, the goal scorers for the Blackhawks in this opening period. Chicago to sweep of the Detroit Red Wings, a sweep of the Edmonton Oilers, and come in here and take a quick 3-0 lead in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Well, Scotty Bowman knows one thing about his team. They do not panic. They were down 3-1 to the Washington Caps, 2-1 to the top team during the regular season, the New York Rangers. But they have dug themselves a hole here. And against a team that is as strong defensively as the Chicago Blackhawks, and believe me, part of Chicago's success in being good defensively as a team is playing in the other guy's end.
Yeah, they have done it so well this opening period and throughout the playoffs. The puck came off Mario Lemieux right back to Tom Barrasso. And now Rick Tocchet turns it out towards center, but there's Steve Smith. Checked by Lemieux. Stevens with him. One man back. Chelios. Lemieux shot. Belfour stretched up to get a piece of that. From the blue line, Roberts holds it in, and the shot went wide. Lemieux sets up Stevens. Off the goal post. Loose puck in the goal mouth. And the Blackhawks are able to recover. Up they come. Steve Smith brings them over the line. The rushing defenseman here into the corner. Looks for somebody in front. Centered, and it's picked off. Cleared by Stevens. Lemieux with one man back. Now Roenick joins him, so there are two Blackhawks back in the play. Mario Lemieux can't get around the Chicago defenseman, and there's going to be a holding penalty on Kravchuk. Pittsburgh with a power play chance about to unfold.
Well, the Blackhawks have done a good job defensively on the one-on-one situations when Lemieux is coming down. Sooner or later, you got to hold the guy, though. He got the puck by Kravchuk, and he got his body by him. And Kravchuk was able to hang on to him as well as the stick, so he was called for holding. And this may be the best way for the Penguins to climb back into this game, but it's going to take a lot of work by Lemieux and Yager and Stevens and Tocchet, and that is to drive and draw penalties. If they can generate enough power plays, they can get back into this game. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. I know it's early, 4:16 to go in the first, but Chicago makes a 3-0 lead look like a 6-0 lead.
The timeout has been called by Penguin coach Scotty Bowman. Gives his power play unit a little rest and some instructions as well. Scotty Scotty Bowman back to that Pittsburgh bench using his 32nd timeout.
And it was an interesting use of it, Jakes, because he didn't diagram anything. There were no X's and O's. What he wanted to do was rest Lemieux, rest Jágr, make sure that they were ready for the start of this power play. At the same time, he rested Chicago's top penalty killers, but he was willing to do that to get his top guys rested.
Brent Sutter and Dirk Graham, the forwards for Chicago. Smith and Chelios on defense to kill off this penalty. Lemieux is on the left point for Pittsburgh. Larry Murphy is on the right. They have Jágr, Kevin Stevens, and Ron Francis as the forward line. Francis taking the pass from Lemieux, comes across the blue line, gave it to Stevens, now to Murphy. Larry Murphy pulls up, makes the pass across to Lemieux, shoots. It was Jágr, excuse me, up high and grabbed, held there by Ed Belfour.
Well, Jágr has been talking to himself over the last couple of days because he has shot more than he normally does. And as a matter of fact, that time wasn't the best time to shoot. He didn't have a screen in front. It was a low percentage play. Perhaps the kid simply is not used to shooting a lot from different areas of the ice because there's a time and a place for a shot. That wasn't a real good spot to shoot from to try to score, and he didn't have a screen in front. He may be a little nervous for this. Who knows? He played in the finals last year, but so far, he hasn't used the people around him very well at all. He has come down on one-on-two situations and tried to beat everybody, even when he's on the power play. And that's the one time you shouldn't have to beat anybody one-on-one. Let's face it, you got one more guy out there than the other team.
Yeah, gotta find him, make it happen. Francis in the middle is waved out of the face-off circle by linesman Kevin Collins. So Francis will drop back to the left point, and the big guy, number 66, Mario Lemieux, loses the draw to Brent Sutter. The Hawks play it around the board. Steve Larmer picks it up and shoots it down the ice. Also out to meet it as Jágr comes back. Murphy goes up the right wing boards. Jágr gives him the puck. Larry Murphy on to Kevin Stevens. Checked at the line, but they kept the play onside. A pass here to Jágr. Tips it in front, and it hit the skates of Steve Smith and is cleared by the Blackhawks. Also turns the puck to the corner. Larmer beats Larry Murphy to it. Jágr back, can't get a stick on it. Now he goes after it again. It's underneath Larmer, and it will be held for a face-off with 53 seconds. Now they didn't blow the whistle, and the Blackhawks lost control, and out come the Penguins. Stevens onto the stick of the big guy. Lemieux to Jágr, and he shot it wide. Actually tried to pass. Now comes back to Jágr, tipped to Francis. His shot was blocked. Francis with it again, puts it in front. The shot from Stevens rattles around in the goal mouth, and Belfour reaches back to cover it. Some scuffling after the whistle. Linesman Gerard Gauthier and Kevin Collins in to separate people.
Hey, that's all.
Eddie Belfour has received tremendous protection from his defensemen in the playoffs. No rebounds to clear, hardly any shots. They're averaging under 26 shots against in the playoffs, and they cut that down. That was an average for all of the playoffs this year, but they had fewer than that against the Edmonton Oilers. And the Hawks are getting some breaks in this one too. The Penguins have already hit a post. Mario Lemieux had enough room for him, not enough room for a normal guy on that one. Couldn't get it by Belfour. With Chelios all over Lemieux, Steve Smith all over Jágr. The Penguins better get used to it, because that is the Chicago Blackhawks game plan, and they are working it to a T right now.
Ron Francis not happy with the play of Steve Larmer here, killing off this penalty against Chicago. The third power play of the first period for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have had 3 shots on goal with this one. They had 4 on their first opportunity tonight. Andy Van Hellemond not pleased with a discussion that he has been hearing from Ron Francis. Now he says something to Tocchet as they line up for the face-off outside the blue line. Francis won the draw here. Played the puck to Paul Stanton, who's into the Chicago zone. Stanton centered one across. Played around behind the net by Phil Bourque. Stanton trying to put it out in front. Here's Bourque on a wraparound. He scores!
With the job the Hawks have done on the big Penguins names so far, you almost got to think they need an unsung hero or 2 or 3 in this series already. And they've got one on this goal. Phil Bourque. Eddie Belfour lost his stick, and I don't know why. He went down to try to block. Well, it was the puck that knocked the stick out of his hand. Eddie Belfour was trying to take away Lowe with the stick, and the momentum knocked the puck out of his hand.
And the Pittsburgh Penguins are right back in, knocking on the door, but couldn't finish it off. Pack goes cross ice. There's Shell Samuelson with a shot, going wide, but grabbed and held by Belfour. The goal by Bourque is on a power play. Phil Bourque didn't score in the series against Boston. He didn't score in the series against the New York Rangers after having a pair in the series with Washington, and he gets a big one here.
Well, we'll show you Phil Bourque. He keeps this play alive in the corner. He's the first guy in. Now, he dumped it behind the net. The Blackhawks cover it up pretty quickly. Once Rick Tocchet's attempted pass out front misfires, but look who the first guy is there. We'll stop right here and show you that Phil Bourque was able to beat both defenders behind the net, and they don't recover quickly because he comes all the way around this side and is able to get a shot away. So not a very good read by the Blackhawks defenseman, and Bourque took advantage of the hole that was open on the far side of the net.
Give the assist to Tocchet and Francis. The goal at 17:26 of this opening period. Blackhawks lead 3-1. Penguins in the white uniforms, trimmed with gold and black. Back of the net, they gave it to Lemieux, and he had nowhere to go with it. Just turned it deeper into his own zone. Now Phil Bourque plays it around to the far side of the ice. This is Ulf Samuelsson. Trying to go up the middle for Lemieux, and Chelios intercepted and fires it right back in again. Now Gord Roberts chased back of the net. Roberts up the middle, off Phil Bourque's stick, gathered in by Steve Smith. Smith, Rona coming back. He got checked, so Smith feeds it on to Larmer. Off the left side, he shoots. Pad save by Barrasso. Ulf Samuelsson trying to knock it away from Goulet. Rona gets checked, and it goes off Chelios at the point. There's Chelios quickly to recover at the center ice area. There's a delayed penalty coming against Pittsburgh. As Troy Loney takes control of the puck, referee Andy Van Helleman calls the penalty on Brian Trottier. An interference penalty sets up a Chicago power play.
And Brian Trottier tried one of the old tricks in the book. And you got to let go of the guy quickly. He was trying to forecheck, so he jumped from one side to the other behind Steve Smith. And what you want to do is just grab him a little bit. Watch Trottier top right of your screen. And Smith, now jump behind him, grab him a little bit by that arm, but you don't pull him that hard. If you let him go soon enough, you freeze him. He loses his balance, he doesn't fall down, but he can't skate forward. Brian just got a little too much of him on that one. I'll guarantee you, Brian Trottier has executed that one perfectly 1,000 times in his career. And Mario Lemieux is getting a rough ride from everybody and anybody. This time, Stéphane Matteau, number 32 of the Chicago Blackhawks. It's almost as if Mike Keenan has said, okay, we got Chelios and Smith out there, but once the play comes our way, whoever is near him, stick to him like glue.
Not a bad game plan either, is it? Not one designated shadow, just everybody do the job.
Now the Boston Bruins played kind of a friendly series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Chicago Blackhawks aren't about to do that. The Bruins didn't test really Lemieux or the other big guys physically because I don't think they were able to. They don't have a big enough team to do that. The Blackhawks do.
We're into the final minute of play in this opening period. Penguins trying to move the puck out of the zone. Succeed as Bob Airey dumps it down. 33 seconds remaining in period one. Chicago with a 3-1 lead over the Penguins. The Blackhawks fired in wide of Barrasso's net. Goulet went into forecheck. Met here by Phil Bourque. And Mario Lemieux recovers a loose puck. Lemieux bothered by Chelios, and the puck came right back into the catching glove of Tom Barrasso. 17 and 4/10 seconds remaining in the first period. And a face-off in the Pittsburgh zone. Mario Lemieux complaining that he was clipped. The stick seemed to come up into his face. He and Chris Chelios were close.
You can see Chelios' stick. Well, if that hit Lemieux in the face, it was just the tip of the blade and just over a little flip hit to the chin or the nose. But let's face it, if you can draw a penalty, you've got to acknowledge the fact that you've been struck in the face.
This while Trottier is sitting out an interference penalty. Ron Francis to take the face-off against Brian Noonan of the Blackhawks. Linesman Gerard Gauthier didn't drop the puck, and immediately there was a little something going on over on the far side of the ice. Rob Brown, the former Pittsburgh Penguin, and Shell Samuelson. See where they line up. Noonan is over there as Brown had to come in to take the draw. And the puck comes back to the point. Steve Smith held it in. The Blackhawks with one final effort. And it's taken away and cleared up by Ron Francis. Chris Chelios will go back and plays the puck here, the final second. And that's the end of the first. Here's John Davidson.
To this point, it's been a game with the Blackhawks controlling the boards, guys. Every time the Penguins try to come out of the zone, they're met by a body along the boards. And until Pittsburgh finds a way to change that at even strength, I don't know if it's going to change. Guys?
Yeah, Chicago with an excellent effort in that opening period. They jump out to a 3-0 lead, and at the end of one, it is the Chicago Blackhawks 3, the Pittsburgh Penguins 1. We'll be right back.
The Blackhawks got the first 3 in that period. The Penguins came up with 1. So 20 minutes have been played. Reviewing the scoring. Chris Chelios on a power play at 6:34. Michel Goulet, an unassisted goal at 13:17. And then just 26 seconds later, the captain Dirk Graham made it 3-0. But then a power play and a timeout and rest and recoup and Bourque on the power play from Tocchet and Francis at 17:26. And just seconds after that, the man who's joined me here, Rick Tocchet, nearly scored 2. Do you have to feel a little better about the last 4 or 5 minutes of that period in terms of the chances you were getting, Rick?
Yeah, we seemed like the first 5 minutes we were right there. You know, we're dominating. And then they took over the last, I'd say, 12 minutes, and then you know, at the end we came on. But you know, they're saying this forecheck, and you know, I think we're kind of being intimidated by this great forecheck. They got a good forecheck, but you know, we're just as big as them. We can't be intimidated by them. Yeah, you do have the size advantage, I think, especially up front in this series, too. But just noticing your eye, I don't think anybody gets this far in the Stanley Cup playoffs without having a few injuries. That was pretty close, though. Yeah, you know, they're all close. You know, they got a few around the eyebrows, but, you know, it's just part of the game, and things happen like that. And, you know, you just you don't worry about that stuff till the summer. Well, high sticks have been a little more common these days, I guess, in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You're a guy who has scrapped some and dropped the gloves in his time, but there seems to be more of that than there is fighting these days. Well, I think nobody really wants to take a stupid penalty, so you'll see a lot of you know, guys, you know, obviously not dropping the gloves, but they're getting their sticks up. You know, there's a lot of body checks, guys try to protect themselves, and a lot of times, you know, a guy will try to hook somebody and it'll miss and it'll hit the guy in the face. I'd say 95% of the time they're unintentional, but, you know, guys really don't try to hurt you, you know, hit you in the face. A lot of the headlines have dealt with the necessity of Mario Lemieux having a protector. Now, we noticed in the first minute of play that not only Dirk Graham but Steve Smith wrapped him pretty well, and you came right over. Is that your role in addition to try to score? Yeah, no question. I mean, he's the best player in the world, and he's got to be protected. And you know, they're going to take runs at him, and hopefully, you know, Mario will catch him, you know, at the right time, shift, make a good player, and make it like he did to me. You know, a couple guys tried to run him, he made a great play to me. It's just that I got to bury him. Well, you don't have a visor on yet, so you haven't gone to that to protect yourself, have you? No, you know, it's you know, it's playoffs in the Stanley Cup, and you know, sometimes the visor fogs up. I don't really like it, so just keep on going out with us. All the best to you. Thanks, Mike. Rick Tocchet has joined us here. The score 3-1 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. Take a look at the Air Canada scoring leaders. Only one from an eliminated team now. Joe Murphy, 3 points and sitting there behind Mario Lemieux. The rest are Penguins except for Jeremy Roenick, who brings up the rear for Chicago, and he is 6th overall among the teams competing for the Stanley Cup. The Silver Bowl was lofted high here at a party last spring. Will it be again? We'll see. But right now, let's pause for this regional break. In this city of steel, the U.S. Steel building dominates the skyline of a 3-1 lead that the Chicago Blackhawks here have at the end of the first period of play. John, you mentioned the coaching matchup, and it's not often that we wind up with the teacher and the pupil going up against one another. How do you see this?
I think it's very interesting, Mike. Both are very strong at making adjustments, and it's obvious that Scotty Bowman, after the first period, has got to make some kind of adjustments. Mike Keenan's got his team pinching and banging and crashing, and they own the boards, especially in the Pittsburgh zone. I think when the fans get a chance to listen to these two people talk, you'll understand the passion that the two of them have for the game. And for really each other's abilities in terms of respect, too. We had a chance to visit with both earlier today and ask them to assess each other.
Management, it's exciting for me to be able to have the opportunity to coach against them in this series. At the same time, we have a deep respect for his ability. He is the master in terms of bench management. His record speaks for itself, and he's had a rich and a long-lasting career as a coach in the National Hockey League.
Well, I think like all the people that I've tried to talk with and hire, and Mike was, he had a lot of competitive spirit in him, and he wanted to win. He wanted to win the championship in every league he's ever coached in, and that was his #1 goal. And I know in Rochester they did win the Calder Trophy Calder Cup for winning the playoffs, and it was his competitive desire. He put it into the team, and he was a very solid person as well, and the results spoke for themselves.
I don't think there is a great difference in the two philosophies. Both of us are flexible in our thinking, and at the same time, I think that we have a selection process during the game where we can recall many of the combinations that we'd like to use, and at the same time can anticipate some of the moves that the other coaches are going to use. And I think the thinking process is very much alike.
You might. I've been used to having a lot of skilled offensive players and some great defensive players as well, but he might want to play a little more aggressive style of play. I don't know if that's because he started with a team that was pretty aggressive in Philadelphia in the NHL, but I don't see a lot of difference really. We both know that you have to put that puck in the net and you have to stay out of the penalty box as much as you can, and that's the big reason I think that both teams are here right now. We were getting a lot of penalties early on. Chicago got a lot of penalties a year ago. This year they have been turning the other cheek, and that's what we've done now for 3 series.
Two guys, focused, wily, all business, coaching for a cup. Keenan's club is ahead right now at the end of 1 by a score of 3-1. Let's pause for this regional break. Between periods 1 and 2, and the Blackhawks are ahead in this contest by a score of 3-1. Upstairs we go to Bill Clement. Bill, boy, I sure enjoyed seeing all that hitting in the first period. Did the Chicago hitting in particular impress you?
Well, it did. We knew they would be strong physically. I said they had to be smart mentally, and that's what we're going to show you. It's the second Blackhawk goal, and it's our men in play of the first period. I'll show you the good mental play. We'll pick it up in the corner here with the Blackhawks really having a lot of trouble. So what do? They just dump it into this corner over on the low end. That gives Chris Chelios a chance to pinch all the way in. Who has to make the good mental play? Brian Noonan. He has to head back here and cover for Chris Chelios, and he reads it perfectly. Once the play moved into the corner, there goes Chelios in deep, and here comes Noonan right across the ice. So with Chelios doing his thing in the corner, Brian Noonan is very smartly backing him up. Now the Penguins just about get this puck and get it out of trouble. Kjell Samuelsson moves in to help. Penguins aren't outnumbered. And when they finally do get possession, they move it over. Let's stop right here and show you Noonan. Look at him. He's already backing out of the zone as a safety valve, not only for Chelios this time, but for Steve Smith, who is pinching on the far side. Chelios comes out too, and the Blackhawks have 2 men back and still generate a good scoring chance on their forecheck. So the story of the first period, good offense by the Blackhawks, good defense, and a lot of hitting. And that's why they lead this hockey game 3-1 at the end of 1.
Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff action on Sports Channel America is being brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By Air Canada, it's a welcome departure. And by Krylon, the no runs, no drips, no error spray paint.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh. The opening of the second period is brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. Pittsburgh killing off the balance of a penalty to Brian Trottier. All late in that opening period. And here's Chicago trying to move out one final time in this man advantage. Chelios with a long shot from center ice. Rosso steers it toward Kjell Samuelsson, and Trottier is released from the penalty box. 3-1 Chicago. A smothering type defense. Great forechecking thrown up by the Blackhawks in that opening period, and they're right back at it. But now the Penguins break the zone. Kjell Samuelsson, they come up 2-on-2. Samuelsson looking for Trottier, and it's poked away by Belfort. Jim Pack turns it back in. Cleared right back out of there by Steve Smith, and the Penguins recovered at their own blue line. Kjell Samuelsson's pass was tipped Here to the corner by Hudson. Noonan with it. Hudson drives to the front of the net, and it's into the catching glove of Barrasso. Little scuffle here. Nothing too serious. Just before the start of the period, John Davidson had a chance to talk to Rich Preston of the Blackhawks coaching staff.
First of all, your matchups during the first period, even though you're on the road, were you happy with them?
Yeah, we were, JD. I think the big thing was we won some draws, some important draws, and got some good scoring chances off them. And in the defensive zone, we were able to win our share of the draws, and that was a big thing.
You're hitting, especially pinching along the boards in the offensive zone. Is that your main game plan?
Well, it's always been a big part of our game, the pinching and the physical side, and the boys did a good job that period.
All right, thanks. Good luck.
You're welcome.
Now we look at one of the veterans, Brian Trottier. He knows what Stanley Cup playoffs are all about.
I thought Rick Tocchet brought up a good point. It almost looked as if the Penguins were intimidated by the Chicago reputation on the forecheck. The best way to diffuse a good forecheck is with quick puck movement, but that puts a big onus on the people away from the puck. I mean, the guy that goes back there that's under pressure has to have somebody to move the puck to.
Now the Blackhawks do hold it in following the draw. Tried to move it toward the corner, and it's cleared out by the Penguins. Pittsburgh coming to center. Brian Trottier dumps it in. Trottier playing with Troy Loney and Sean McEachran. There's Michel Goulet for the Blackhawks. Out through center ice. Kravchuk had started up in the play, now peels back, and the Penguins come over center ice. Bob Airy down the right wing. Tumbles to the deck. Fans moaning and groaning. Thought that Hudson should have been sent to the penalty box. No call. McEachran centers. Airy's shot didn't get through. Kravchuk breaking up the play. Kravchuk into center ice. Long low shot handled here by Barrasso. Quick outlet as they catch the Blackhawks on a change, and Trottier for the Penguins put it right on target. Smith taking it from goaltender Belfour. Up the near boards, but not out. Paul Stanton puts it back in the net. Chelios turns it up toward the line. Ulf Samuelsson is met solidly. His helmet was popped off. A penalty against the Blackhawks to be called. Paul Stanton with the puck. It comes outside the zone. Barrasso started out of the net. Plays it at the blue line. Ulf Samuelsson. Samuelsson back to Paul Stanton. Stanton and his pass intercepted by Chelios, and now the penalty against the Blackhawks will be called. It's 3-1, Chicago on top.
Rob Brown is off for elbowing. He is back home, but he's not getting the same reception that he used to when he was a member of the Penguins organization. Ulf Samuelsson is kind of a Blackhawk when you talk about the hitting game. He moved up on the play to pinch in on Rob Brown, and Brown just held him and ripped his helmet off. At that point, Andy Van Hellemond called the hold, and that retaliation slash by Samuelsson was what Van Hellemond did not see. So Rob Brown went down to let everybody know that he had been slashed, but Andy didn't see it.
And now the fourth power play of the game for Pittsburgh. They'll start from deep in their zone. Barrasso around to number 55, Larry Murphy. Up the middle. Kevin Stevens safely through center. Sends Yager over the line. Yager driving in, and he can't complete the play. Then the net is pushed off. Kevin Stevens and Chelios in the goal mouth. Dirk Graham came sliding back into his goaltender.
Well, Jaromir Jagr still looks a little anxious to me. And on this last play, when he came in, it was a low percentage play to try and jam it through Belfour from a sharp angle. I mean, the play for Jagr to make there is just to continue behind the net. They are on a power play, so all they want is to set it up in the offensive zone. Would have been an easy setup had Jagr just carried it around to the far corner, but he decided to jam it in from a sharp angle. So
a little extra pressure for Jaromir. His parents have arrived from Czechoslovakia. Will be here for the balance of the playoffs. And his mom is going to stay, or at least return with him next fall, I should say, and spend next season living in Pittsburgh. But here's Jagr with a chance. Couldn't get it onto the stick in time to shoot it, and it slips away from Mario Lemieux. Still a minute and a half, however, in this Pittsburgh power play. The pass is to Jagr, then to Francis. Francis played it away from Sutter onto Lemieux's stick. Tried to drop it back to Stevens as he went through that crowd, and here comes Larmer. Larmer gets checked by Kevin Stevens. Larmer with it again, slaps it off the glass and on into the penalty box, striking one of the off-ice officials.
boy, it doesn't take long for a crowd to gather when Lemieux crosses the blue line. 3 Blackhawks all around him, and he tried to drop a puck and dropped it right to Larmer. Look at this. I mean, they're down a man as well, but they're still willing to try to gang tackle Mario Lemieux and put themselves kind of at a disadvantage. But in those situations, you know, I talked about the Pittsburgh breakout and how important it is for players away from the puck to put themselves in position to receive a pass is just as important on the rush. With gang tackles going on like that around Lemieux, it's up to somebody else to support the offensive play. You got to get close to the puck carrier.
Now Barrasso's effort to play it around the boards is tipped. Chicago, remember, killing off a penalty. Exactly a minute remaining in Rob Brown's holding call. Steve Smith with an outlet to Goulet, and he dumps it right to Tom Barrasso. Francis and Murphy come back. Stevens, Tocchet, and Lemieux up front. The pass is to Tocchet. He has dumped it to the right wing board. Mario Lemieux after. Brent Sutter beat him to it. Sutter plays it around to Dirk Graham. Takes a look and shoots it down the ice. One shot on goal thus far with the power play for the Penguins. And less than a half a minute to go in the penalty against Brown. Murphy chased back by the persistence of Dirk Graham. Now it's Francis up the far side. Here's Mario Lemieux. Chelios knocks it off his stick. They go to the boards together. Chelios got a stick on the puck, trying to get it to Graham. Kicked away by Francis of Pittsburgh to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux backed up against the boards. Put it out in front. Here's Francis with a drive that went wide. Bounces outside the line. Francis hustling after it. He beats Brent Sutter to it. Now Mario Lemieux dumps it in, and it's right at the end of the penalty to Rob Brown, and nothing for Pittsburgh.
Well, the Blackhawks force so much on their kill, and they force as a unit. They've done a great job killing penalties. The one place for the Pittsburgh Penguins to set up, and I think it may be the only place, is behind the net. They may have to concentrate on getting Lemieux behind the net and getting the puck to him, because that's one place the Blackhawks may be reluctant to chase. Other than that, they're chasing everywhere, and they're doing a good job of it.
It's Chicago 3, Pittsburgh 1. And the Blackhawks, Stefan Matteau. Kravchuk moved it up ahead. Here's Roenick driving to the right side. Larmer backing him up. The puck bounced in front, and Bob Airy puts it behind the net. And again, Jeremy Roenick gets to it. Roenick out of the corner, looks to the man at the point, then got checked. McEachran moves it on to Brian Trottier. Back to McEachran. McEachran into the Chicago zone. Airy driving in as well, but they couldn't get it to him. Trottier puts it deeper on the end boards. Gutierrez doing a big job here. McEachran gets tripped up. The puck bounces through in front and just off Belfour's right arm. Larmer and a hit with Stanton. The Penguins had their defense pinching in, but it's the Blackhawks coming through center ice. Roenick fakes and turns it behind Old Samuelson. Also left it behind the goal, and Stanton clears it out. Brian Marchment for Chicago will shoot it right back in again. We played just over 5 minutes of the second period at Pittsburgh. The Blackhawks leading by a deuce. Got Callender out on the ice. Around to Phil Bourque. He has the only Pittsburgh goal tonight. His pass went off Callender's skates, but comes outside the zone and was recovered by Loney. Can't get over center ice. The Blackhawks taking everything away. Now Samuelson looks to Shell Samuelson. Long pass onto the stick of Phil Bourque. Bourque driving in with Callender. Bourque puts it in the slot, and Loney's shot is smothered and held by goaltender Ed Belfour. Still 13 and a half minutes remaining in this second period at Pittsburgh.
Well, Mike Keenan was quick to point out yesterday that this is not a matter of just an offensive team against a defensive team. You check the respective goals for in the playoffs, and the Blackhawks and the Penguins are close. You move down to goals against. Chicago has done a better job, but 3.12 is way below the regular season average that the Penguins allowed. So Mike Keenan knew he would be facing a team whose defensive reputation wasn't very big, but he realized they were playing solid defense. And he's got a lot of confidence in his guys' ability to score as well.
Get Brent Sutter out to take this face-off. Now Sutter pushes Lemieux off the puck. Lemieux did get it out in front, however. Larry Murphy freed it up, then couldn't regain control. And Matteau failed to get the Blackhawks safely into the Pittsburgh zone. Up with it is Kevin Stevens driving on Sutter. Sutter knocks Kevin Stevens to the ice, and the puck is loose. That's Matteau. And Jágr came back to step in front of him. Jaromir Jágr one-handed it toward Lemieux, and the play broken up. Here's Chelios. Here's Chelios, tight off the boards. Now he's put it behind the net. Jágr recovers. Jágr one-hands it toward the line. It's held in by Graham. Puts it behind that Pittsburgh goal. Roberts with it now. Trying to get it to Stevens. Held at the line, then taken back in on an offside. Let's join John Davidson.
Guys, this morning in talking to head coach Scotty Bowman, he was very concerned with the length of television commercials because he said in previous series they've been too long and has taken away from the flow of his team's game. He said lots of them been over a minute instead of just 30 seconds. Well, we've timed them so far in this game, and they've averaged about 48 seconds per commercial, so that shouldn't hurt the flow. The red jerseys, I think, so far have hurt the Penguins' flow. Guys?
Yeah, I would think so. And Scotty recognizes the fact that his team hasn't brought the level of play up a notch, and certainly Chicago came in and took the crowd out of the game early with that 3-0 lead.
Well, I think that Chicago's game thrives as much on a flow as the Penguins does, and they're forechecking him. I think they need that continuing thing. Forechecking is a cumulative thing. I mean, it adds up.
There's a chance close in. The Hawks free it up and get a shot. Barrasso back into the net, now back up in his skates, and the battle for it along the end boards. Taken by Shell Samuelson. Up to Rick Tocchet. The man cutting through center. Phil Bourque had been knocked down. The fans not happy with that. Ryan Noonan plays it on into the Pittsburgh zone. Phil Bourque slapping at it, didn't get it outside the line. Igor Kravchuk gets checked. Phil Bourque chasing the puck. Stepped on a stick. And the puck ends up in the zone as Bourque ended up on the ice. Igor, call me George. Kravchuk down the right side. Number 3 with a long shot. Blocked by Barrasso. Played to the line. Kravchuk and that team that won the gold medal, Maribel, France. Unified team. Now he's in the NHL with an opportunity to repeat what Ken Morrow did in the spring of 1980. Gold medal and a Stanley Cup. Larmer with a pass to Roenick. That's taken away by Ulf Samuelsson. Stanton turns it up the far side. Kravchuk intercepts the pass. Gave it to Roenick. Roenick with Larmer driving to the net. The centering pass picked off by Trottier. He clears the zone. It rolls on edge. Icing will be waved off by the linesman. Ryan Marchment played it back in the net. Cam Russell turns it up the right side for Brent Sutter of the Blackhawks. Sutter content to shoot it in, and the Blackhawks go to a dump and chase style here. Jaromir Jagr failed to control it. Steve Smith puts it in deeper. Paul Stanton has it for Pittsburgh. Up to Jagr, off his stick. This is going the length of the ice, and again Belfour comes out to play it. Puck continues to run. The Blackhawks trying to regain control of the puck. Steve Smith, pass to Brian Marchment. Marchment steps over center, dumps it in high and wide of the Pittsburgh goal. Larry Murphy plays it up the boards through Brent Sutter and out to center. Chasing it is Chelios, flips it off the glass. That hit McEachran. He shoots it in. Stevens gets the play back onside, but the Blackhawks come to center with a long pass. Sutter getting it to Dirk Graham. Murphy chased him back of the net. The puck came right out in front of him. A big stop by Barrasso off Michel Goulet. Pittsburgh not bearing down in their own zone almost. Found themselves behind by 3. Now it's dumped in again, and this will be called back. 3-1 Chicago as we pause for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup Finals are live on Sports Channel America. Chapter 2 of the Stanley Cup Final right here on Sports Channel America, Thursday night live, 7:30 Eastern Time from Pittsburgh. More of this great action for you. Ron Francis squares to take the face-off for Pittsburgh against Mike Hudson of the Blackhawks. Back on defense for Pittsburgh has shot it in. Belfour turns it toward the corner. Here's Igor Kravchuk up the middle. His pass didn't get to the man in time. Driving in is Jocelyn Lemieux, forcing Shell Samuelson to the boards. Now the Penguins try to come out on the far side of the ice and succeed. Ron Francis crisscrossing is over the line. 3 Blackhawks get to him. He moved the puck. It comes right back to Pack. Into Phil Bourque. Bourque plays it to the left wing boards. This is Pack. His shot went wide. Francis puts it out in front. Nobody there in a white uniform. Jocelyn Lemieux able to find Ryan Noonan moving out of the zone. And the Penguins send Jim Pack in to pick up the puck. He overled Trottier. Marchment lost it to Trottier. Puck ends up inside the Chicago zone. Roenick with it. JR with Goulet. Larmer coming up as well. Jeremy Roenick held it, gave it to Goulet for a shot that went high and wide. Comes bouncing up into the seats. And play called. We have 9 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the second period.
I'm sure both of these coaches are telling their players to be patient in the offensive zone. Hardly any time at all. The Penguins taking away the precious commodity of space and time when Roenick and Larmer crossed the line. And how much time has Lemieux had to make a play in the offensive zone at even strength? None. Same with Stevens, same with Jagr.
Great tempo to this opening game. Each team has had 18 shots on goal, but Chicago has made more of theirs, leading 3-1. Steve Smith plays it around the boards in the Pittsburgh zone. Kevin Stevens got checked. Chelios whips it into the near corner. Paul Stanton gets to it, and man got to him. That's Goulet centering. Larmer was there and couldn't pull the trigger. Then he does, and it went wide. Goulet checked back in the net. Larmer recovers. Steve Larmer twisting and turning is giving it to Roenick. Out to Larmer, and immediately he is checked and put on his back by Kevin Stevens. Up ice comes Mario Lemieux. Dropped it to Stanton, moves in, all the way in, and a shot blocked by Belfour. Paul Stanton jumping into the flow. Now back come the Chicago team. Larmer with a pass to Brent Sutter. He shoots, he scores! A very, very quiet Civic Arena as Chicago has taken a 4-1 lead over the Penguins.
I think everybody was anxious to see who would flinch first in the form of a weak goal. Eddie Belfour or Tom Barrasso. Barrasso had 3 get by him in the first period. He has held tough here in the second period, but now Brent Sutter, really, what was a harmless play, I thought it might have been offside. But Brent Sutter, from a pretty good scoring position, just shot a low one, and that didn't even look like it went between Barrasso's legs. It went under his right leg. And as Larmer cut back, he just dumped it over to Brent Sutter, let a good low one go. And yeah, that just squeezed under Tom Barrasso's right pad, and Chicago leads it 4-1.
Brent Sutter's third in the playoffs. Steve Larmer getting the only assist. 11:36 into the second period, 4-1 Chicago. Now the Penguins trying to move out of the zone. Larry Murphy carries the puck through center. 2 Blackhawks back. Knocked off right wing after taking the pass. Stumbles a little bit, and Kuchera frees it up. It's 2-on-2 the other way, but the net has come off behind Ed Belfour, and they'll have to go back and put that on the moorings.
Well, here come the Hawks on what looks like a 2-on-2, but they really outleg Mario Lemieux and turn it into a 2-on-1. We'll see if it's offside. Watch Larmer cut right there, and if we stop well, you can see that the move was made back here, but Brent Sutter real close, perhaps even too close to call. We're not going to fault the officials on that one. We just wanted to take another look at it. It was a stoppable shot anyway.
Yeah, that's the key point. When you think back to the goal that Chris Chelios scored on the power play to make it 1-0 in the first period, and this by Brent Sutter, his third of the playoffs. And Tom Barrasso tonight hasn't been the Tom Barrasso that we saw in the series against the Boston Bruins.
Agreed.
Or in the final 3 games in the series against the New York Rangers. But there is time on the side of the Penguins if they can get something revved up. They haven't been able to get away from this smothering Chicago team. When they do get opportunities, they've been taken away from them by Ed Belfour. 4-1 Chicago. That's Cam Russell. Center ice, Kjell Samuelsson broke up the pass, but Noonan able to find a teammate, and it's stuffed in. Tom Barrasso plays it around the boards. Bill Bourque and a man tight on him, and a long shot goes off. Barrasso, and then it's tipped over the goal. Penguins fail to clear it out. Russell from the blue line is shot just wide, and a screen was set up in front. Noonan puts it back in the net. Hudson trying to find somebody in front. Tocchet gets to it for the Penguins. And again, the Blackhawks are on the puck. It's centered out in front this time, but broken up. Bill Bourque comes down the left side. Marchment was right there. Here's Roenick. Jeremy Roenick, nice turn to recover the puck, and Yager goes back on Marchment, but again, it's Roenick over center ice. Knocked away at the blue line. Recovered by Yager. Yager slipped around Larmer. That's Troy Loney beating Yager as he went to the corner, and Chelios stepped in front of him. There's Chelios, turns on Trottier, plays it up the boards, and play being called back by the linesman. 6.5 minutes to go in the period.
Well, it's connect the dots time. 1, 2, 3, 4 Hawks on the ice. Here's the problem. 2 Hawks right there. So when you connect the 4 on the top, you can see 2 at the bottom, and that was the problem for the Hawks. Those 2 guys didn't execute a line change very well, and Mike Keenan's team has been caught for too many men on the ice. So the Penguins' power play is back at it.
5th chance with the man advantage tonight. The only Pittsburgh goal scored by Phil Bourque came when Kravchuk was sitting on a holding penalty in the opening period. Mike Keenan taking a lot of time before sending Jocelyn Lemieux across to the penalty box. And the other Lemieux in this game, Mario, is waiting for the faceoff. playing the left point. Murphy on the right. The forward line is Francis with Yager and Kevin Stevens. Brent Sutter and Steve Larmer, the penalty-killing forwards. Pittsburgh controlling the puck. Lemieux has given it to Murphy. Murphy can't get it back to Lemieux. And Steve Smith headed to the line, but didn't get it outside that blue line. Lemieux well covered, and now the Blackhawks shoot it down the ice. 17 seconds gone in this penalty against Chicago. A big kill for the Blackhawks. An even bigger situation in the game presented for Pittsburgh. They need a power play goal to get themselves back into game one. Kevin Stevens changing hands on the stick, moved it to the open wing. Up with it is Ron Francis. He's across the line, feeds Lemieux. Mario Lemieux lets it go, and Belfour has that safely tucked away in the catching glove.
Well, when Mario Lemieux starts to shoot the way he just did, you can tell that he realizes he's not going to get the room to get in tight. He's not going to get the room to make a nice pass to anybody cutting down the middle. So he does the next smartest thing, get it on Eddie Belfour and hope for a rebound chance for somebody driving the net. Now, he does make good decisions, and he hasn't had enough room to really do his thing. So this is about the next best. He had a couple of guys going, and when Kevin Stevens and Jaromir Jagr are the two guys that are going, they're big enough to get there.
Now the face-off on the near side. Kevin Stevens playing left wing, Jaromir Jagr right wing. Ron Francis at center ice against Brent Sutter of Chicago. Sutter wins the draw. Here's Chelios turning up the left wing boards and clearing it out through center ice. Mario Lemieux will go back to take it from Tom Barrasso. Lemieux checks his options, makes the pass to the left side for Jagr. Jagr into the Chicago zone, chased wide by Chelios. Centers to Murphy, and his shot didn't get through. Now the Blackhawks, Dirk Graham is able to clear it down the ice. Francis back behind the net. Graham into forecheck. Larmer comes in as well for Chicago, and Larmer blocked Francis's outlet. Ron Francis battling Larmer behind the net. Larry Murphy gets tripped up. Murphy plays it to the blue line. Kicked right back in by Chelios. Ron Francis with a chance to bring it out. The pass is toward Rick Tocchet. Tocchet taken to the boards, held there by Steve Smith. They center it back to the left point. Ulf Samuelsson with a stick on it. Puts it behind the net. Everybody covered. Now Tocchet gets to it. Tocchet had his helmet knocked off, and the puck is knocked off the glass and down the ice by Chicago.
It might look easy to force a team when you're killing a penalty, but it's not easy to force without giving them an opening. The Blackhawks have forced as a unit. I mean, you're seeing a great display of penalty killing in this hockey game so far.
One more chance for Pittsburgh. Stanton off the right face-off circle into the corner. McEachran to Stanton. He scores!
Rick Tocchet now can happily go and pick up his helmet. He played a solid minute without it. He got reefed in front, kept his balance, and was able to deflect what looked like an innocent shot from Paul Stanton up and over Eddie Belfour's left shoulder on the short side. The Penguins will definitely take that. They will definitely take that. They are down 4-2. The Chicago Blackhawks have owned their end of the ice.
It was not a power play goal, coming 3 seconds after the penalty for too many men had expired. Tocchet's fifth of the playoffs. Deflecting Stanton's shot. So it is 4-2 now. The late offside waved as the Blackhawks are able to clear it out of the zone, and Chelios charges through center ice. Fed it to the right side. Jocelyn Lemieux unable to center it. Lemieux checked again. Now he's able to recover. He's given it to Jeremy Roenick. Roenick's pass picked off, and out of the zone comes McEachran driving on Steve Smith. McEachran put it in the middle. Harry couldn't get to it in time. Ulf Samuelsson back on defense. Up through Sean McEachran and on into the Chicago zone. Chelios to put a stick on it. We have an icing call against the Pittsburgh Penguins. But goal by Tocchet has brought the fans back into this game. Only a 2-goal difference.
Rick Tocchet's got a lot of traffic in front. You can see him circled. He gets hit by Steve Smith, but then everybody leaves him alone, but for a good reason. Right, we can stop here and show you Rick Tocchet here, but look what's behind him. If Steve Smith moves over to Tocchet, he gives the guy behind him a chance to slip to the net, and that's Mario Lemieux. You can't do that, so you got to hedge, stay in between, and Rick Tocchet was able to play it both ways and end up with the deflection up and over Eddie Belfour.
Tocchet is all set to take the face-off now against Mike Hudson as the play has moved to the other end of the ice. Stanton and McEachran assisting on that goal by Tocchet. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the second period. Referee Andy Van Helleman reminding the players to line up on the restraining circle, and the linesman moved Tocchet out of the face-off circle, so Lemieux came in for the draw, but it's won by the Blackhawks. Steve Smith putting it in deeper. That's Noonan. Back ties him up, and Mario Lemieux starts up with the puck. Gave it to Kevin Stevens. Now to Lemieux over the Chicago line. Lemieux trying to move through the defense, had a bouncing puck to contend with. Put it in front and scores!
Well, now it's the Blackhawks' turn to feel the full force of this Penguins team. They've been down before, flat on their backs against Washington and against the Rangers, but Mario Lemieux has pulled them out time and time again. I think he tried this. He had nobody to pass to, so he tried a bank shot off of Eddie Belfour. There was nobody on the far side of the ice, and anyway, he rifled it 2 feet into the air. That's not a pass. There are only a couple of guys in the game that would have tried this. He banked that off of the inside of Eddie Belfour's right pad and between his legs, even to have the presence of mind to try it, and then the physical ability to execute. How many in the world would have even thought of it? So the Penguins are fighting back 4-3 now.
Many still standing, applauding that brilliant move by this guy, 66. The puck bouncing and bobbling, Bill.
Big key, time here. You see the time Lemieux has to move to the side and take a shot. He took advantage of a congested area of players and just moved around them. That's as much time as Mario has had at even strength.
All of a sudden, it's a one-goal game. Blackhawks 4, Penguins 3. Kevin Stevens got an assist on that goal. Larry Murphy plays the puck to the open wing. Francis gets to it, but it's offside and called back by the officials. We have 3 minutes and 6 seconds remaining in the second period. 4-3 Chicago. Night after night, through 80 games in the regular season, it's like this. Well, 40 at home and 40 wherever you go to watch NHL hockey, or whether it be right here on Sports Channel. You can't beat this time of the year. And now the Chicago Blackhawks have decided they better regroup. They called for their 30-second timeout, and are going to talk about this. The Penguins are back in the game, aren't they?
We'll show you the Lemieux goal. Here he comes. It's actually a 2-on-2 situation that he is facing. But watch what happens here. He actually loses the puck, and if we stop here, Chris Chelios gets caught. He's the back guy on this pack, and Lemieux has lost the guy that's supposed to be right there next to him. Kevin Stevens did a good job of crowding everybody into one another, and you give Mario that much time, and he becomes Super Mario.
That goal at 16:23 of the second period. At one time, Pittsburgh was down 4-1. Now they're down only 4-3. Roberts held it to the point, fed Lemieux, back to Murphy, long shot, didn't get through, and the Blackhawks are able to clear it out. Stefan Matteau, after blocking it, got it into the Pittsburgh zone, and Roberts goes back around the boards. Charging it is Chelios. It bounced away, but he's able to recover, and a Blackhawk player, Brent Sutter, is down on the ice. Referee Andy Van Helleman blew the whistle immediately. Brent Sutter apparently all right. The Blackhawk training staff didn't even make a move toward him. Ow.
Well, that looked like it was going to be an accidental collision with Kevin Stevens figuring it out before Brent Sutter, so he's able to get his hands up. And he is a good 25 pounds heavier than Brent Sutter.
Brent Sutter back at the bench. 29 years of age now. He'll celebrate his 30th birthday probably during the Stanley Cup final if it goes the full 7. Who knows? In a series like this, Chicago at one time, as I said, led 3-1, and here's Lemieux, but he can't get open at the Chicago line, and back comes Chelios. Roenick over on right wing, can't find Larmer with that pass, and Phil Bourque clears it out. Couldn't get it to Mario Lemieux. Delayed offside called now against the Blackhawks. Lemieux and Chelios. Little push. Now a lot of words between the two. Give Chris Chelios a lot of credit. He is playing under control.
Yeah, he's not only playing under control with his temper, because he can be as crude a player as there is in the game, and say that in a positive sense because the guys that play the way Chelios plays are tough to play against. Lemieux knows that. So Chelios has showed a lot of restraint in those areas, but positionally Mike Keenan kind of has a leash on him as well. He did pinch into the corner on one of the Chicago goals, but he knew that he had somebody backing him up.
Now the Penguins cleared the zone, and here's Lemieux down the right side, driving on Chelios. Lemieux with a shot, blocked by Belfour. Chelios takes Lemieux into the end boards. Now Phil Bourque and Smith end up there as well. Here's Chelios just making sure that Mario doesn't get up too quickly.
Well, I don't think he'll get up very quickly, because even when Lemieux was down, and this is what I was talking about when I said Chris Chelios, you know, the people talk about in Boston about Ulf Samuelsson being public enemy #1 because he plays kind of a crude style at times. But as Lemieux comes down the right side, Chelios cuts him off, and you'll see Lemieux go down on the play after the shot. Watch what happens when Lemieux goes down. Now watch Chelios. Cross-checked him into the boards when he was lying flat on his side. And that's why I thought that he wouldn't get up very quickly. There it is right there. It was a good save by Ed Belfour, although Lemieux was really limited to what he could do on the play. Belfour really expected a low shot because Lemieux didn't have all of his hands to work with. Chelios did a good job of tying him up.
Mario went back to the bench. Scotty Bowman sent out fresh troops. Chicago didn't change, and the new Pittsburgh players went right to Chelios. Phil Bourque was the first to say something to Chelios. And then Rick Tocchet said something and pushed Chelios. Lemieux apparently okay. Chris Chelios has made himself a target.
Great guy to have on your side this time of year.
Yeah, the Chicago boy who started his NHL career in Montreal, then went home, although he grew up in the San Diego area. Nice to be back in the Chicago region with his team in the Stanley Cup final. All of this will bring the face-off outside the Chicago blue line. Ron Francis against Brent Sutter. Tocchet is on the right. Kevin Stevens on the left for Pittsburgh. Graham on right wing, the toe on left wing for Chicago, and the puck is skied over the glass and up into the seats. Chelios slapping at the ankles of Ron Francis after the puck went out of play, and that draws a crowd.
One thing about Chris Chelios as well, Jigs, when he plays this style, he doesn't really get so wound up that it throws him off his game. I mean, he's capable of playing this way. A couple little taps, not much from Francis and Chelios. But he can play this way, and he can get involved at different moments in the game, but it doesn't seem to throw him off. I mean, he thrives on it. I'd rather have Chris Chelios playing that way if I were his coach. It means he's involved in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Now Francis on the draw here against Mike Hudson, and the Penguins come up with the puck. Paul Stanton with a pass to Ron Francis. Lost it at the Chicago line. Nobody able to recover. Now it goes out of play. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the second period here at Pittsburgh. Boy, looking at the calendar today, Bill, 60 days from today, exactly 2 months calendar-wise, the 1994 Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain get underway.
Well, it's going to be a treat for a lot of people, including the viewers. I mean, first time ever, 3 channels are offering a major sporting event, and no commercials. and really in-depth coverage of half of the event, 16 of the 32 events. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think everybody's looking forward to it, especially after the winter coverage.
Television history about to be made again this summer from Barcelona, the triple cast. Hope you're enjoying the Stanley Cup Finals here on Sports Channel America. Puck cleared down the ice by Chelios. Barrasso out to play it up the right side. And it's dumped down the rest of the way the other direction by Tocchet. We're going to whistle here as Steve Smith went back to put a stick on it.
No, Mike Keenan called a timeout just moments ago. I'm not sure all of these stoppages of play are by design, because a lot of them just seem to be pucks that have been squeezed over the glass and out of play. Chris Chelios' dump in cleared the glass by about 4 feet. Mike Keenan knew one thing. He had to slow this big Pittsburgh wave down that was coming his way, and they've really been successful in doing it by design or not, by having, how many stoppages of play have we had? About 6 or 7 in the last minute to a minute and a half. That's how you squash the Penguins when they get on a roll. Slow it down.
Mike Keenan loves to play that way, especially at home. All this conversation, you saw Mike talking, and it was to a former player of his, Rick Tocchet. Tocchet skating back to the Pittsburgh bench, flapping his jaw, and Mike responding.
Well, this is when they get into the mental game, especially when people know one another and have been friends or business associates, in this case, coach-player relationship in the past. If you can get under the other guy's skin, what an advantage. Tocchet's good at it. Keenan's great at it.
Now Mario Lemieux breaks out of the Pittsburgh zone. Lemieux across the Chicago line, pulls to the right side, took the turn at the point, into the corner for Trottier. Ryan Trottier trying to sneak along the boards. Can't get around Steve Smith. Chelios is there as well. Trottier protected the puck. It came off Yager, and then Trottier is checked, and here's Chelios. Chelios trying to make it a 3-on-2 as he comes across the line. The pass to Graham. Trottier in front of him. The puck went loose. The Blackhawks recover. Stefan Matteau put it in the slot. Nothing doing there, and Jaromir Jagr is away. Jagr, long pass. Trottier chases it down the right wing boards. Trottier pushed to the corner by Steve Smith. He centered it to Jagr as he went back of the net. Jagr checked by Chelios. Now Lemieux reaches in. Dropped the puck to Murphy. 22 seconds left in the second period. Murphy's shot bounced. Dropped right in front of Belfort. He was able to cover. And Chelios dumps it down the boards. On into the zone. The Penguins able to pick it up. This is Ulf Samuelsson. The pass to Lemieux actually went to Chelios. There's Chelios protecting it on the boards, content to let the clock run out, ending this second period. And right on his back was Rick Tocchet as the period came to a close. So the stage has been set for what should be a sensational third period as the Penguins claw their way back in here and trail by only 1 after 40 minutes of play.
Back to win games in the series. Each team has 12 wins. 5 times these teams have come back apiece to win games. Now watch for Mario Lemieux in the third period. If Scotty Bowman double shifts him, maybe even triple, you'll see him play left wing, right wing, center. Watch out for the Penguins in third periods. Jakes?
Okay, JD, yeah, we've got a great third period just around the corner. Our intermission coming up as the Penguins are back in. Chicago leads 4-3.
"40 minutes have been played here at Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The Chicago Blackhawks leading the Penguins by a score of 4-3. Let's take a look at the scoring thus far in the game. In the first period, the Blackhawks got the first 3. Chris Chelios at 6:34 on the power play from Brent Sutter. Then it was Michel Goulet unassisted with his third of the playoffs at 13:17. 26 seconds later, Dirk Graham from Chelios, and it was 3-0. A power play goal to Phil Bourque. 3-1 Chicago at the end of the first. In the second, Brent Sutter staked the Blackhawks to a 3-goal lead from Larmer at 11:36. Then back came the Penguins. Tocchet from Stanton and McEachran at 15:24. Lemieux from Stevens at 16:23. Shot Chicago 11 apiece in the first 2 periods, in Pittsburgh 15 and 10. And are we ever proud to have one of the best left wingers in the modern era of hockey and one of the most productive, Michel Goulet, to join us here between periods. Michel, your observations on the first 2 periods that we've seen?
Well, I think we had a pretty good first period, but I think we didn't play as well in the second. But, you know, they had a couple of lucky goal deflection off the air and 1 goal from behind the net. But those things happen. We have to come out a little bit harder in the third.
Well, you guys hit so much. I'm just wondering, are all of you hurting about now after you've gone through 3 rounds?
Well, that's our style of play, and I think that's the way we play all year, most of the year, and I think we have pretty much, you know, a lot of success right now, and that's the way we play all year most of the time.
Has this been one of the more unusual experiences in your life to play for a team that has the type of character that Chicago has, and you've gotten as far as you've ever gotten?
Oh yeah, that's the first time for me in the finals, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And it's kind of, last year we had a pretty good year. We didn't have much success in the playoff, but this year I think everything is rolling well for us, and hopefully we're going to win the cup.
Do you feel like you're a 20-year-old and a rookie here when you get this far in the playoffs again?
Well, not exactly 20, maybe 23, 24. It's all right. I enjoy very much this experience, and hopefully, after 14 years, I hope I have one cup.
Well, I think you've got it coming. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Michel Goulet has joined us here in our studios between periods. His team has a 1-goal lead as we look on the city of Pittsburgh. They've got the lights on, signaling pens, but right now the scoreboard lights show 4-3 in favor of Chicago. Let's pause for this regional break. Chicago Blackhawks have the lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 4-3. We are between periods 2 and 3. In addition to extra people at the Stanley Cup Finals, we brought along a video cam, and with some fear and trepidation, we put it in the creative hands of Bill Clement. For each of these games, he's going to be putting together a video piece, a video vignette, and we're calling him CB DeBill. And we'll call it our postcard from Pittsburgh. Bill, what do you have for us this time?
Well, I wanted to get the players away from the spotlight, and the best way to do that is with a home movie camera. It was a group effort. Jig supplied the camera. As you mentioned, I got nominated to be the guy behind the camera. And one of the interesting things the day of a game is the morning skate. So this is the morning skate. It's our 1-minute movie.
And you can tell we've gone to the finals because some of the guys who have been around this league longer than anybody are the guys that are having the most fun. Still out there skating right at the end of practice.
Can you stop it?
Brian?
Yes?
Let me ask you something. How many morning skates you figure you've had?
Well, 1780. Probably near 1400.
1,400. Are they any different in the finals?
Yeah, a lot more fun in the finals. I think the guys, intensity levels up a little bit, adrenaline's flowing. I think you want to get the energy level up there so when you sit down for the pregame, you're going to chow down.
Members of the media into the Penguins locker room and can get some of the big guys to get out of the way. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir, I can't see. Oh, sorry, it's you.
We're busy.
And the guy everybody's looking for is Scotty Bowman. Stand in line, folks. Brent Sutter, you glad to be back here, I imagine?
Oh, you bet I am. It's an exciting time here. It's everything you worked for all year, and it's a time where, the best every player comes up.
How about the morning skates? Are they a little different once you get to the finals?
Well, I think they're intensified a little bit, and I think that, you might, you have a few meetings and stuff like that. But I certainly think the morning skates are a lot more intensified than they are here in the regular season, yes. It's an exciting time of year.
So with a lot of the members of the media still crowded at the Penguins' end, and the Blackhawks going through their warm-up phase, this building's about as quiet as it's going to be all day. Because tonight, this morning skate will seem like it was about 1,000 years ago.
Of course, our producer, John Shannon, left the best stuff on the cutting room floor. There was a lot more to that if we'd had more time. But one thing I did notice, I'm not sure, Mike, if you noticed it as well, I thought the Chicago Blackhawks were a lot more intense for their morning skate than the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Start of the contest. I think their intensity really showed at the start when they got the first 3 goals of this game. Bill is shifting from his videographer's hat to one of analyst, and he'll be taking care of that little chore for us when our coverage continues. The Blackhawks are ahead in this one by a count of 4-3. Let's pause for this regional break. The Hawks at one time led 4-1, but the gap was closed. The last goal of the period came from marvelous Mario Lemieux. Bill Clement with a closer look at that one.
Well, Mike, the great players can make something out of a bad play, and that's what Mario Lemieux did. And the bad play is brought to you by Menon, and we'll pick it up here. Kevin Stevens wants to take his guy out of the play so that Lemieux can simply cut behind him and come this way. Lemieux loses the puck here, and he loses it into the crowd. See him trying to cut behind Stevens? but he very smartly digs into the pile. And when he gets behind the line, we can stop right here and show you, look where he's shooting from. He is actually 18 inches to 2 feet behind the line when he banks it in off of Eddie Belfour. So the creative ones can take nothing and make something out of it. The Blackhawks still have the lead. It's a slim one, though. 4-3 Chicago at the end of the...
The start of this third period brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. The Blackhawks lead 4-3. Steve Smith dumped the puck in, crossed the goal mouth off Dirk Graham's stick, and they couldn't convert that big chance. Ron Francis brings the Penguins into the Chicago zone. Stefan Matteau to recover a loose puck, but can't go anywhere as Ron Francis banged him on the boards. Brent Sutter turns it up the right side. Dirk Graham tips it out through center ice, and going back for it is Larry Murphy. Chicago in the middle of a change. Murphy on the transition. He elects to flip it high in the air, and it bounces into the Chicago end. Lemieux pulled the feet out from under Kravchuk. Left the puck back in the net. Here's Phil Bourque. Tied up in the boards. Igor Kravchuk all over Phil Bourque. Lemieux on one side, Bourque on the other, waiting for the puck to squirt loose. It didn't. Just a moment ago, John Davidson had a chance to talk with Barry Smith of the Pittsburgh coaching staff.
Barry, any adjustments you made through the first two periods since you've trailed a lot in this game?
We made an adjustment in the second period, and we're going to make a slight adjustment in the third period to try to have more puck pursuits so we can get on top of it, especially forecheck a neutral zone.
Now, how much ice time will Lemieux see in the third period?
Based upon what he can take, he's playing a heck of a game right now, and we have to see how the game is going to go. We have some other centers which are playing well. McEachran can also jump in center, so we want to keep some fresh legs out there and just have to see how the game goes.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, John.
Little changes, subtleties. Lemieux, Yager still out on the ice along with Phil Bourque. We're 1 minute and 8 seconds into the third period. This time Chicago skied the puck down the ice. All Samuelsson backboard, put it behind the net, but rather lazily, and Roenick got to it. Jeremy Roenick tied up by Yager. Chicago recovering, and a takedown in front will result in a penalty. Stanton will go to the penalty box after pulling Goulet down. So a Chicago power play. Only their third is about to take place.
Chicago had cranked up their forechecking game again. Jeremy Roenick did a nice job along the boards, and when he got the puck to his relay man and then ultimately in front to Michel Goulet, Goulet had position on Paul Stanton, so Stanton is off for hooking. And we mentioned the Penguins reasonably healthy. The one guy they'd love to have right now, they won't have. Joe Mullen, 42 goal scorer during the regular season, reconstructive knee surgery, so he faces a long summer of rehab.
Chicago with the man advantage here. Brent Sutter against Ron Francis on the faceoff, won by Francis. Larry Murphy plays it out to the blue line, held by Kravchuk. Long shot, blocked by Barrasso. They give it away, and Roenick can't get it teed up in time after Brent Sutter had dutched it loose. Steve Larmer drops it to the blue line. Kravchuk with a shot. Barrasso stopped that. Chelios pinches in, but gave the puck away, and it's cleared out by All Samuelsson. Kravchuk to Roenick. Lemieux knocked it away from him, but ends up deeper in the Pittsburgh zone. Here's All Samuelsson. He's rubbed out on the end boards. Ron Francis couldn't get a stick on it. Chicago trying to win the little battles on the boards here, but now Larry Murphy turns it around to the far side, and Kravchuk pinches over there. Kravchuk, long shot, blocked by Barrasso. Chelios with the rebound, sets up Roenick. Glove save by Barrasso.
The Penguins are really gambling on their kill. Every time it looks like they're even going to get possession, Mario Lemieux stands outside of the blue line waiting, but that allows a guy like Jeremy Roenick to get his offense going, and he's been a quiet guy in this game. I'm not even sure that shot was on net. If it is, it'll be his first shot of the game. But after Chelios with a nice feed to him, took a shot that looked like it might have been headed for the outside of the mesh. But the Blackhawks have a 4-3 lead. They have scored 4 goals in a hockey game that they realized they would have to score 4 in based on Pittsburgh's offense, and they've done it without Jeremy Roenick. He doesn't have a point.
And that is 4 shots on goal through the first 47 seconds on this power play for Chicago. Ryan Noonan against Brian Trottier.
But to me, that's a problem for the Pittsburgh Penguins, the fact that Jeremy Roenick has not been a factor in this game, and there's still 20 minutes to play, because you got to know he's going to surface.
After winning the draw, Pittsburgh had shot it down the ice. Kravchuk back in the net. Puck taken by Jeremy Roenick. He's over center and he likes to shoot it in. Dump and chase, but Barrasso comes out to play it. High up off the glass and out of play, but it did strike the glass first.
Boy, I really like the way Barrasso tries to carry the puck out of the zone. He never puts himself in a position to shoot it over the glass without touching it, which would result in a delay of game penalty. He just goes for the middle of the glass and hopes that the momentum of the puck and its upward climb will just sort of carry it out of the play. But you can see Roenick bringing it over center. Look at the Penguins back on the blue line, 4 guys back. So when he dumps it in, watch Barrasso here. He has enough time because his guys are screening out. They're holding up the Blackhawks, and all he wants to do is bang it up here off the glass halfway up. He'll even take a face-off, and that's what he did. He hit the glass about halfway up, and he shoots for the high glass. You can see there in the middle of the screen at the top where the glass goes from the high glass to the shorter glass. He never goes for the short glass. He just is content to hit it halfway up the high glass.
Now the face-off to his right, Brent Sutter and Brian Trottier, longtime teammates with the New York Islanders, and they're both waved out of the face-off circle. In goes Lemieux for Pittsburgh. In goes Roenick for the Blackhawks. Steve Larmer played the puck toward the line. Kravchuk right back to Larmer. Into the corner. Roenick got checked by Pax. Jim Pack plays it behind the net. Here's Brent Sutter. In a little deeper for Larmer. He gets checked behind the net. Kjell Samuelsson with Blackhawks on either side of him. Kicks the puck loose. It'll be held by Kravchuk. Now he fires one in that change direction. Larmer around to Roenick. To the point for Chelios. Chelios shoots that rattled around in front. Hit Brent Sutter, and Jim Pack frees it up for Lemieux. Mario takes a dive over Kravchuk. Back the other direction is Chelios. Looks to Brent Sutter as he heads for the front of the net. Couldn't get the puck to him, and Pack clears it out. 8 seconds remaining in the penalty to Paul Stanton, the Pittsburgh defenseman. Igor Kravchuk met by the forechecking of Bob Airy. Kravchuk held it, then headed to the right side, and a long shot from Noonan is turned aside. Larry Murphy got checked in his own zone. The penalty has expired. Airy can't get through center ice. Puck played back into the Pittsburgh zone. What a job Goulet and Samuelsson are doing on one another. Now McEachran gets over the line, shoots, Belfour has it, and there's no further play. Still 16 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the third period at Pittsburgh, where Chicago leads by a score of 4-3. Mr. and Mrs. John A. Ziegler Jr. here at the game tonight. Mr. Ziegler, the president of the National Hockey League, his wife Kay alongside. I'm sure the president pleased with the style of hockey that these two teams have put up and the way the playoffs have gone here in the spring of 1992. We've had some overtimes, we've had some great moments. Some controversy from time to time, but that was to be expected, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you get a competition and people competing at this high a level, it's got to happen sooner or later.
Roberts blistered one from the point that was turned aside by Belfour. Each team with 27 shots on goal now. This is Dirk Graham driving on Murphy, then backs up to the boards. Couldn't get the puck to Bateau. Murphy feeds it up to Kevin Stevens. Onto the stick of Tocchet. Tocchet puts it around behind that Chicago net. Chelios to play it now. In back of the goal for Steve Smith. Away from him. Tocchet steps in front of Smith. Freed it up for Murphy, and a shot blocked in front by Chelios. That's Stefan Bateau with an outlet to Dirk Graham. Graham driving on Roberts. He likes to dump it in right at the end of his shift. Bateau goes in after it. Stefan Bateau met solidly by Kevin Stevens. Murphy there as well. Now Gord Roberts recovers. Turns it up ice off Murphy's taken at center. It's recovered by Steve Smith of the Blackhawks. Pittsburgh getting an opportunity to change, and Chicago goes to the far side of the ice, moves the puck in, but quickly back. The Blackhawks able to turn it up. This is Yager taken down as he tried a centering attempt, and the crowd felt there should have been a penalty again. Barry Herdina is out on the ice for Pittsburgh. Here are the Blackhawks moving in. Noonan cuts to the front of the net, can't beat the man, and a second chance. Can't beat that Pittsburgh man, Tom Barrasso.
Well, this rush started with a great takedown by Frank Kuchera on Jaromir Jagr. And it was a penalty, but he executed so well. I love it when a guy can get away with one and make it look so legal. Look, I mean, he just clasped the arm, got in tight to him so that Andy Van Hellemond, who was behind the plate, couldn't see it, and then the takedown and let him go. That's a good play if you can get away with it. And then Mike Hudson cutting around Kjell Samuelsson, and believe me, that's a big cut because Samuelsson's got a long reach and he's great one-on-one. Barrasso had to make not one but 2 saves, and the key, look at Barrasso's position on the second shot. Watch what he does. He makes the first save, but watch his recovery and look at his position for the second shot. Perfect.
Wow. Chicago 4, Pittsburgh 3. Long shot from the point was blocked. That was Krawczyk's drive, and out comes Stanton. Stanton with 3 Blackhawks backing in, can't get through them. Frank Kachura plays it to the far side. Now they move it up into the Pittsburgh zone, and Steve Larmer fires a long one up high and grabbed and held by Tom Barrasso. Goulet backed into him. Barrasso held his ground. Now Chicago in the middle of a player change.
They're really true to form on the dump and chase situation in this game. Both Chicago and the Pittsburgh Penguins through 2 periods. The Blackhawks had 38 even strength rushes coming through the neutral zone. They dumped it in 25 times. The Penguins had 43 even strength rushes through the neutral zone. They dumped it in 27 times, so way better than half. And in the first period, it was about 85%. The second period kind of evened it out. But they're trying to play to their strengths.
In 1972, Chicago and Pittsburgh met in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that man, number 68, Jaromir Jagr, was 2 months old. It's the only time that these 2 teams have met in a playoff. Chicago swept that series in 4, outscoring Pittsburgh 14-8. That was then. Here in the spring of '92, it's for the Stanley Cup. Dirk Graham, look at the job Jagr does on him, but he can't force him outside the line. Then the puck did come out and is cleared by the Penguins. Lemieux trying to get away from Brent Sutter. Sutter choked him off, and Chelios comes up with it. There's Chelios to Steve Smith. Smith driving across the line, got checked. Murphy frees up the puck. Ron Francis was there but couldn't get it. A giveaway doesn't result in anything as the Blackhawks lost control, and now it's dumped down the ice. Chicago with a 1-goal lead as they start out of the zone. Jocelyn Lemieux gets checked at center. Brian Trottier gave it to Pack. Jimmy Pack to Mario Lemieux, went off his skates. He's able to play it behind the Chicago net. Trottier goes to the corner for it. Back of the goal to Loney. Can't feed it out in front in time. Lemieux gets checked, and Samuelsson, Kjell Samuelsson, will recover at the Pittsburgh blue line. He's played it away from Noonan. Up to Loney. 3 Blackhawks stretched out at the line. Loney's shot doesn't get through. And hit Kuchera and went to Noonan. Noonan turns it up the left wing boards. Pack blocks the dump in attempt. And then flips it into the Chicago zone from his own side of center ice. And that will be an icing call against Pittsburgh. 4-3 Chicago as we pause for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs are live and exclusive on Sports Channel America. Jeremy Roenick will see them again Thursday night live at 7:30 Eastern Time from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, right here on Sports Channel America. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championship round. The Blackhawks and the Penguins. Capacity crowd 16,164 here. Over 55,000 down at Three Rivers Stadium tonight. Phil Collins and Genesis entertaining there as the Penguins entertain here.
Glad we're walking home.
Hopefully Phil won't be finished just yet. We'll hear 1 or 2 of your favorites before we get to the hotel. Steve Smith playing the puck out of the Chicago zone. All Samuelsson dumps it right back in. Troy Loney freed it up, but Goulet recovers for the Blackhawks, and he's shot at the length of the ice. All Samuelsson will go back to put a stick on it. The result will be a face-off in the Chicago end. 12 minutes and 39 seconds left in this third period.
You know, this should be Ulf Samuelsson's kind of series. He is the Dick Butkus of the Pittsburgh Penguins, so the Blackhawks fans can relate to that. I mean, this guy is tough. He plays it like a linebacker, and that's the way the Blackhawks like to play it. I got a feeling Samuelsson's going to get stronger as this series wears on, and I think he's going to play really well in Chicago Stadium.
How noisy do you think that building will be come Saturday night?
Well, that will be an interesting test of the intimidatable factor. If the Pittsburgh Penguins don't react to that, we'll know that nothing can intimidate them, and nothing has so far in the playoffs. but we'll have to wait and see because that is the most intimidating building in hockey.
Brent Sutter just found a handle on a loose puck, couldn't get a shot on, and now Sutter recovers outside the blue line. Got it up the right wing boards. Dirk Graham tips it in further, and Larry Murphy is back. Murphy to Roberts. Out to Mario Lemieux. Couldn't get it to Stevens as Chelios was right there. Now to Dirk Graham, and he's rubbed out. Good hit by Roberts, and the Penguins take over. Kevin Stevens through center ice. Tocchet up to join the rush. Rick Tocchet, and his shot deflected wide of the net. Brent Sutter recovers in the corner. Pushed to the boards by Tocchet. Now Noonan with 2 men back. Noonan drives across the line and dumps it in deeper. The Blackhawks are in the middle of a player change. Kjell Samuelsson pulls up behind the net. Noonan continues the forechecking roll, and Samuelsson banks it off the boards. Here's Rick Tocchet through center. Over the Chicago line with a pass to Kevin Stevens. Bumped solidly. Big hit with Hudson. Jim Pack out in the center ice zone. Plays it off the boards. Kravchuk moves up for it. Igor Kravchuk shot it down the ice, and Samuelsson is back. Kjell Samuelsson and Pack, the defensive pair. The forwards are McEachran at this moment, along with Jaromir Jagr and Ron Francis. A lot of different line combinations again tonight from Scotty Bowman. Blackhawks move in after a loose puck. Here's Steve Larmer. Lost it to Jagr. Jagr with 3 men back, comes through center, driving on Goulet. Now picked up by Kucheri, pulled up, looks for a man coming late. Nobody was there to join the play. And the Blackhawks end up gaining control of the puck and just clearing it out. Paul Stanton off the boards, cleared out by Kucherov. That's going to go the length of the ice, but Barrasso will play it. Leaving it now for Ulf Samuelsson to Jagr, up to Trottier. Trottier across the Chicago line, driving on Steve Smith. Trottier forced back to the net. The Penguins up with it. McEachran puts it out in front. Oh, what a chance there, and it's turned aside. Came right out in front again. A scramble on. Goaltender Belfour reaches out. He was without a stick, just reached out and grabbed that puck and held on. Let's pause for a regional break. Chicago leads 4-3. The playoffs are on Sports Channel America.
Guys, I'm here behind Tom Barrasso. Right beneath me here is Dave Conant. He's the photographer for Sports Illustrated. The reason it's the best seat in the house and why you see such clear pictures in Sports Illustrated is this glass right here is brand new before the game. These guys would get their checkbook out, buy a brand new sheet so it's nice and clear. Hey, Jakes, should I give it to you? No, I better not, huh? Back to
Go
you.
ahead.
We got to tell JD he can't hide behind that one strut that's separating the 2 panes of glass.
You'd have to use every strut in the building to accomplish that. Face-off is to the left of the Chicago net. Time remaining 10 minutes, 28 seconds in regulation time. We joined us late at one point of the game. Chicago led 3-0. They also led 4-1. It's now 4-3. None of the goals have been scored through the first half of this third period. Ulf Samuelsson back to get the puck. Noonan took him out on the boards. There's Paul Stanton trying to carry through. But not. Phil Bourque gets bumped by Noonan. Stanton still with his man, pulls him over backwards, but the play has been called. Stanton and Jocelyn Lemieux.
Boy, Paul Stanton has really become a steady blue liner for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, he played so well against the New York Rangers, played well against the Boston Bruins, and he said that he learned something 3/4 of the way through the season that no coach had ever told him. He always thought he should shoot the puck as hard as he could from the blue line until Jaromir Jagr told him 3/4 of the way through the season, you shoot the puck too hard. He wanted him to take something off of it so that it became more deflectable. And against Boston, Paul Stanton put one right on Troy Loney's stick at about 3/4 speed. It was a perfect deflection.
Stanton with an assist in this game, setting up Tocchet's goal. Now the Blackhawks hemming the Penguins in. Brian Trottier put it back in the net. Roenick was taken down. The Penguins get it to the line where it's held in by Steve Smith. Into the corner goes Roenick. Now to Goulet, had a man open in front, couldn't get it to Larmer, who's gone back in the net to recover. And there's Brian Trottier stepping into the passing lane. Stanton trying to move it out. Ulf Samuelsson gets to it. Played it off Phil Bourque, and at center ice, the Blackhawks recover and sweep it right back into the Pittsburgh zone. Chicago in the middle of a change. Paul Stanton has given it to Phil Bourque. Sidestep the hit from Brent Sutter. Moved the puck up smartly. Loney over the line. To Mario Lemieux. He shoots. Blocked in front. Lemieux, or Stanton rather, got another rip at it, and it's grabbed well outside the goal mouth and held for a face-off. That'll take place in the Chicago end of the ice. We'll be right back. On top are in a playoff year. Chicago in 92 has won 11. Boston in 1970 won 10 all time. And this goes back through the playoff run of 84 and then on into the next year, the 85 Stanley Cup playoffs. Edmonton won 12 consecutive games. Chicago with a chance to tie that record tonight and establish something very special, having done it in a single playoff year under the tutelage of that man, Mike Keenan.
I'm sure Mike's more concerned with really accomplishing the #1 goal that the Chicago Blackhawks set up for them coming in here, and that was at least winning one of these two games so that they could use that big intimidation factor of Chicago Stadium when they get back home for games 3 and 4.
Very calm Mike Keenan at practice this morning. Spent a long time with the media. Roberts holds the puck at the Chicago line. Tried to play it in, couldn't get it through Bateau, and here's Dirk Graham for the Blackhawks. He's content to dump it in. Basso plays it off the end glass. And it's brought out now by Kevin Stevens with a pass to Larry Murphy. Murphy over the line, pulls up, got checked from behind. Stevens goes after a loose puck, knocked it away from Belfour. They try to center it in front and do through Bateau, but Murphy couldn't trap it, and Roberts recovers out at center ice. Ward Roberts. Now Rick Tocchet will dump it in. Chelios takes a look. He likes to give it to Dirk Graham. He puts it in the Pittsburgh zone, and the Blackhawks go for a player change, but the puck went out of play. So the faceoff will come outside the Pittsburgh zone. 8 minutes and 29 seconds left in the period.
A lot of Mike Keenan's players say that he's matured and that he has mellowed, but that he cracked the whip near the end of the season to prepare them for the playoffs. And when Mike cracks it, everybody stands at attention very quickly. And Scotty Bowman could get his players' attention as well. But here's another man who players say has mellowed over the last few years. Scotty Bowman hadn't been behind the bench in 5 years since coming from the Buffalo Sabres organization.
And we continue to wonder whether Scotty will be back behind the Penguin bench at the beginning of next season. Ron Francis. Now Jim Pack with an opportunity to move it up the boards. Battle here. Won by the Blackhawks, then they gave it away, and Sean McEachran starts out, surrounded by Blackhawks, had his pocket picked, and Jocelyn Lemieux dumps it in. There is some speed on this Chicago team too, isn't there?
Speed and excellent decisions. I think the Penguins know how the Bruins felt when they had to play the Penguins as far as the defensive zone coverage. When Chicago's in their defensive zone, and that means Pittsburgh's on the attack, the Penguins have had no time at all. There's another takeout, and look how much time Jágr has. None. He's got 2 guys on him.
He continues to wrestle for control of the puck. Then Samuelson's effort to hold it in went to Goulet instead. And Larmer plays it on into the Pittsburgh zone. 7.5 minutes left in the third period. Here's Paul Stanton for Pittsburgh. Up to Troy Loney to Jágr. Jágr can't get around Steve Smith. Had to reach back for the puck, and when he did, he brought it back into the Chicago zone. And that resulted in putting the play offside. The senior vice president of the Chicago Blackhawks, the white-haired gentleman in behind there, Mr. Robert Jesse Pulford, now a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And Craig Patrick looks as if he hasn't moved since the last time we were in Pittsburgh. Same pose, sitting up here near us, along with Barry Smith, the assistant coach. Craig, of course, the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wonder if he's got any fingernails left.
Oh, I hope so. It's going to be a long series. Chicago leading 4-3, and they've dumped the puck out of the zone. Paul Stanton is back. Up ahead to Bob Airy. Airy, who missed the entire series with Boston, got bumped solidly, and the play goes offside. Airy had been out with a shoulder separation. You see, he's one of the alternate or assistant captains on this Pittsburgh team.
It really gives Scotty Bowman a lot of flexibility. Dave Mikhailuk did a pretty good job, but Dave Mikhailuk is a good offensive player in the International League. Bob Airy can do a lot of things for you in the National Hockey League. He can score some goals, he's got good speed, and above all, he doesn't mind the rough going, and he likes to dish it out. He's a good hitter. Also can kill penalties, so it gives Scotty Bowman a little more flexibility on the bench. Dave Mikhailuk did a good job while he was in uniform. The Cleveland Lumberjacks might see Dave Mikhailuk in their uniform next year. That's where the Pittsburgh Penguins farm team will be, a new International League franchise in Cleveland, and apparently the people in Cleveland are really revved up about it. Great response already. Happy for them.
Yeah, me too. That is a great hockey area over the years, and it's a shame that and hasn't had the sport for some time now. And of course, the International Hockey League in an expansion year. The Atlanta Knights coming into the league next season. The International Hockey League All-Star game played there this past spring as we look at Trottier trying to sneak one by Belfour.
He just had to wheel that one around and hope for somebody. No, just before that play, there was a rush that the Pittsburgh Penguins led, and Paul Stanton jumped up in the play. It was offside, but given the coverage that the Chicago Blackhawks have thrown at the Pittsburgh Penguins, you got to figure there was 7 minutes to go in this one. If the Penguins defensemen have the legs, and Stanton, I think, would probably be the leading candidate because he's a good skater and he's a young guy. The other guys aren't great skaters, and really they got to be tired by now because they have 3 defensemen that are in their 30s. Paul Stanton might have to be the only guy, but he's got to join the rush to generate some attack.
We just saw another Trottier-Sutter face-off. Blackhawks got control and have dumped it down the ice. Stanton gets to it around the boards to the near side. Barry up to Brian Trottier. Phil Bourque jumping up, and a long shot from Trottier right on, and Ed Belfour up at the top of the goal crease smothered that. You talk about the young legs and the old legs. Here's a young mind and a body that has been kept young too by constant work during the offseason. And I think as an athlete gets older, he has to do that, doesn't he, Bill, to stay at this level?
Without question. I mean, the guys that play, I think there's obviously something that is God-given, and that is a physiology that is able to withstand age. But besides that, you have to be in shape, and you have to train year-round, and you have to bring it to camp in a fine edge.
Didn't take Rick Tocchet long to gain a fan club, and a young one too. He came over here in that deal in February between, well, actually a 3-team deal between Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, and eventually Philadelphia. Tocchet, Shell Samuelson, Ken Reggett. Paul Coffey went to L.A. Jeff Chikrin came here along with the first-round draft choice that Pittsburgh moved on to Philadelphia. Mario Lemieux puts the puck out in front. It's grabbed and held by Ed Belfour. 6 minutes, 26 seconds left in period number 3, regulation time.
You know, Paul Stanton also told me something interesting about Mario Lemieux. He said he had to adjust to him when he arrived here. Mario Lemieux, even when he is covered, wants the puck. Now on this play, you might think he was trying to bank this one in. I think he was just hurried and wanted to dump it in front. There's nothing to bank it off of. But defensemen are taught, don't pass the puck to people in low percentage situations. And when a guy has got a guy right next to him, he's covered, so you don't pass it to him. Mario says, I want the puck. And Paul Stanton had to adjust to that, having a guy right beside Lemieux and Lemieux still wanting it.
Now the Penguins trying to regain control, but it's put back of the net. Chelios with an outlet that's trapped at the blue line. Long shot going high, gloved, and then dropped off. Belfour left it for Sutter, couldn't get it out of the zone. Tocchet put it right on. And the Blackhawks clear it out through center ice. Larry Murphy spins it towards Stanton, down to Lemieux. Off his stick, but it hit Chelios. Coming up on the play is Larry Murphy, rushes over the Chicago line. Taken off the puck by both Goulet and Chelios. 4-3, Chicago leading, now inside 6 minutes left in regulation. Steve Smith had it poked away by Roberts. Smith recovered, put it back to the goal line. Roberts around to Murphy with Rodick moving in. It's stolen by Goulet. Centers it in front. Larmer's shot doesn't get through. Now they set up Goulet for a drive. That came loose. The rebound was there. Centered out in front to Larmer. His shot blocked by Roberts. Larmer dumps it toward the corner. Murphy is back. Slaps it off the glass. That ends up in the seats. Down to 5 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in regulation time. Chicago up by 1.
Boy, the Pittsburgh Penguins have just dodged a huge bullet. The Chicago Blackhawks had 3 excellent scoring chances. Remember that sequence if the Penguins are able to climb back into a tie in this one. Help from everybody. Lemieux, Roberts, some Tom Barrasso. But the Blackhawks have turned it up, and the Blackhawks have been impressive. Remember that timeout that Mike Keenan called way back when the Penguins were mounting their comeback. They got to within 1, but the Blackhawks have, I think, pretty well grabbed a lot of the control of the game back since then.
Each team has had 9 shots on goal during this third period. Delay here. One of the linesmen has gone back to check with a member of the Pittsburgh training staff down by their dressing room. Now he's back and we're set to go. Juan Francis out-muscled Rodick for the face-off, and here's Yager. He gives it to Francis. On to McEachran. It bounced off his skate. John McEachran recovered. Got Yager across the line to Francis for a shot. What a bullet, and it's gloved and then immediately covered by Ed Belfour.
One of the things that has made it difficult for the Penguins, trying to generate a flow or an attack coming through the neutral zone. The Chicago Blackhawks defensemen not only don't back in, but they stand up on the red line almost until you're in their face, and then you try to make a pass, and there's nobody to pass to because they all stand up so well. Mike Keenan has these guys well trained. Don't back in, don't give them the blue line, stand them up.
General manager of this Pittsburgh Hockey Club, Greg Patrick, took over the team back in December of '89. Took over as coach as well. Coach and GM decided he wanted to know the fiber, what he had, what he was dealing with, what he had to do to improve the team, and he has done it. We're in the Stanley Cup final for the second year in a row, and here's Jágr with the puck. Jágr, nice move around Brent Sutter to the backhand. Lets it go, he scores!
Well, this is the one thing that team defense cannot defend against. Great individual efforts. He beat one guy, Dirk Graham, then a second player. Now he's going to beat a third Hawk and make him look bad. Use Sean McEachern as a screen because McEachern was tied up with Kravchuk, and then a backhand shot. Eddie Belfour is going down on his knees and on one hand. And you can't take away everything low when you go down on one knee like that. There's always a hole. Fabulous individual efforts, and I don't care how good the team is defensively as a team, that becomes man on man, and Jágr just beat three of them.
You just saw Chelios get checked at the blue line, and now the Hawks have dumped it in, and the Penguins with a chance to move it out. Jágr had 3 goals in the series with the Capitals, 3 more in the series with the New York Rangers. He also had 3 in the series against Boston, and his first of the Stanley Cup final of '92 is even the game at 4-4. Jeremy Roenick picks the puck off the boards in the Pittsburgh zone. Tried to center. It's broken up. Cleared to the line. Jumped away from Chelios. He's able to recover. Gave it to Goulet, who dumps it in. They're also out to play it. Puts it up on the right wing boards. Rick Tocchet unable to find Lemieux moving through center ice. Chris Chelios with 4 minutes to go in regulation time. And now Roenick dumps it in, and the Blackhawks will go for a player change. The Penguins on the transition, coming out. Tocchet with a feed to Trottier. He dumps it in from center ice. It slipped away from Belfour. Bob Harry after it. Harry trying to center. Noonan was back to kick it away, or Hudson, excuse me. And now Loney leaves it for Bob Harry. The stick knocked out of his hands. Trottier protects the puck on the end boards. Tied up with Kravchuk. Puck is still in play. Now referee Andy Van Helleman. Twice he thought about blowing the whistle. He allows the boys to play. Close in chance for Trottier is denied by Belfour. Out come the Blackhawks. Through center ice, Mike Hudson driving to the left. Gets a shot away, and Barrasso covers it. Some scuffling, some pushing. Put the stick into Jocelyn Lemieux. And now they'll get things settled down, and a face-off coming in the Pittsburgh end of the ice. But we're tied 4-4 with 3 minutes, 23 seconds left in the third period.
May have looked a little jittery at the start of this hockey game, but a fantastic individual effort by Jaromir Jágr has tied this game at 4. Brent Sutter went for the puck. That was a mistake. Frank Kuchera swept at the puck and he missed it. And then Sean McEachern really smartly moved in front to tie up Igor Kravchuk and give Jágr a chance to get around and then backhand it under Ed Belfour.
I think back to the series with the New York Rangers in Game 3. 3 times the Penguins were down by 2 goals, Bill, and came back to force overtime. They lost Game 3. In the next game, in Game 4, again 3 times they were down by a pair of goals, came back to force overtime, and won that one. So they have some resiliency, and they've shown it again tonight. Trailed here 3-0 and 4-1. They're even now with Chicago at 4 goals apiece. 3 minutes and 12 seconds left in the third period. What could be going through Mike Keenan's mind at this point?
Well, he certainly has to be wondering which one of his guys is going to get it done, get the job done. And he's got Jeremy Roenick that has yet to hit the score sheet. Chris Chelios with a goal and a couple of assists has had an outstanding game, but he has backed off a little bit and hasn't really been an offensive threat here in the last half of the game. But he's got some firepower.
And he has sent some of it out of the ice. JR, Jeremy Roenick at center, Larmer on the right. And Rob Brown is out on the left side. Brown hasn't seen a lot of ice time since the first period. He is the left winger on this line. Trache on the face-off, won by the Blackhawks. Here's Larmer with a shot, turned aside by Barrasso, and Yager runs into Larmer, moved the puck to Francis, put his head down, but couldn't sneak completely around Kuchera. Here is Rob Brown, flips it high out to center ice. Wolf Samuelsson quickly to Yager. Kuchera takes care of Yager on that play. So the Blackhawks with a chance to come to center. Roenick, after taking it from Brown, dumps it in. It bounces around in the Pittsburgh zone, but is recovered now by Wolf Samuelsson. To Paul Stanton, to Brian Trache. Trache is across the line. Yager and Bork move in as well. Trache puts it back in the net. Bork couldn't get there in time. Belfour is giving it to Kravchuk up the middle. Over the line is Noonan. He takes a dive. There will be a penalty. Noonan, they're going to rule by a signal from Andy Van Helleman, was pulled down, and the Chicago Blackhawks are going to the power play. A hooking penalty. Doesn't please Scotty Bowman one little bit.
And there's enough time, lots of time. 2:21 to go in regulation. So the Chicago Blackhawks can take a shot at this thing and not have the penalty carry over into overtime. Good burst of speed by Mike Hudson. He got between Larry Murphy and Gord Roberts, and they put the double hook on it. Now, very often, if you can get two hooks working, neither guy looks bad on the play, and you can get away with it. But Mike Hudson had them both beat. I mean, either one of the Pittsburgh players could have ended up with the penalty, but Larry Murphy's the lucky one.
The penalty at the 17:39 mark. This will be the fourth Chicago power play of the game. They're 1 for 3. On the power play, Mike Keenan has sent out Jeremy Roenick, Steve Larmer, and Brent Sutter as the forwards. Kravchuk on the left side, Chelios on the right side of their defense. They've had 4 shots on goal with their power plays thus far. Ron Francis will be charged with winning the face-off from Brent Sutter. Mew is the other forward on defense, the two Samuelsons. Shell Samuelsson plays it around the boards and out of the zone. Big kill here for Pittsburgh. A bigger opportunity for the Blackhawks. The goal here perhaps gets them game 1 and takes home ice advantage away from Pittsburgh. Watch the move up in the power play. Long shot by Kravchuk, actually a dump in. And it's cleared up and out of the zone by Wolf Samuelsson. Ed Belfour will leave it for Chris Chelios.
The Blackhawks obviously want to end the game on this power play, but they also have to be careful. Lemieux wants to end it with a shorthanded goal.
Both teams very good in that department during the regular season. Blackhawks pinching in. Chelios puts it back in the net. That's Larmer with Roenick out in front. Larmer feeds the point. Kravchuk in around the boards to Roenick. Brent Sutter goes to the net. Here's Larmer with it. Dances in and rattled off the pads of Tom Barrasso. Larmer sets up Chelios. To Kravchuk. Kravchuk centered one in front. That's picked off and shot out of the zone by Shell Samuelsson. Ed Belfour handling it. Now Kravchuk with 48 seconds in the Chicago power play. More than that remaining in the period. Turning is Roenick. Jeremy Roenick had it slip off his stick, and it's cleared out of the zone by Pack. Phil Bourque chases it down the far wing, forcing Belfour out of the net. Belfour got checked by Bourque. And the Blackhawks get Steve Smith back in to help out. 30 seconds in the Chicago power play. Up ice they come. Over the line is Goulet. Left side to Roenick. His return pass for the point is broken up. Goulet has it here. Gave it to Steve Smith. To Michel Goulet. One times it wide of the net. Roenick frees it up. Rob Brown went to center one, picked off and cleared out by Bourque. We're into the last minute of play in the third period, tied 4-4 at Pittsburgh. Rob Brown trying to get the puck to Goulet, couldn't do it. It's cleared out by Pittsburgh. That kills off the penalty. Lemieux moved up, taken down. There will be a penalty against Chicago. A hooking penalty to the other side with 17 2/10 seconds left in regulation time.
We saw Mario Lemieux's explosive speed against the Boston Bruins when he was an entire line behind Ray Bourque. He was 20 feet behind him. He was able to catch him and move by him. And look at Steve Smith. Steve Smith sees him coming, but he can't stop him. He has to take him down. Lemieux would have been in all alone with about 15 seconds to go, and Smith saw him coming, but he just couldn't keep up. Smith had been out there for a little while, but not that long. Lemieux just put it into overdrive.
For those who are not familiar with the situation, if Pittsburgh does not score in the final 17 seconds of regulation, that penalty carries over to overtime.
And it's not as if Mike Keenan's power play didn't have at least one good scoring chance. Steve Larmer picked up the puck to the side of the net. Now, instead of shooting, I take that back, he shot it. There was another sequence where he decided to pass it out in front, and that one he shot from a sharp angle, but they did have a couple of chances. Got to figure Pittsburgh has to win the draw here even to get a chance. That's their one hope on this 17 seconds that's left in the third period.
Ron Francis against Brent Sutter. Linesman Gerard Gauthier to put the puck in play. Knocking to Sutter. Visitor puts the stick down first. Francis won the draw. Murphy with a shot. The rebound. They score! Lemieux! Unbelievable. The Blackhawks, after leading 4-1, are trailing 5-4. How do you do, Mario?
Well, we said they had to win the draw, and Ron Francis did an incredible job of not only getting the puck behind him, but then turning around to screen out Brent Sutter. Larry Murphy's shot went to Belfour, could not control the rebound. Francis, good job. Murphy's shot. Mario Lemieux drifted away from the play, hoping that the rebound would come to him. The man has radar. I'll tell you what, he anticipated it coming. Belfour was down. It looked as if the puck was on edge. He cupped it on the blade of his stick and just moved it up into the top of the net. And incredibly, that took less than 5 seconds, 4-point-some seconds. We're down to 12.6 seconds to go in regulation. Incredible.
They'll be talking about this one tomorrow. And you've had the chance to see it on Sports Channel America. Be back with us Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern Time. Game 2, final 8 seconds ticking off. Belfour starts out of the net. The Hawks get the puck in deep. It's played right out in front. A scramble is on. The Blackhawks jam it just wide, and the game is over. A frantic final 3 seconds in the Pittsburgh end. But the Penguins have survived.
What a fantastic hockey game. Right down to the wire. The Penguins were under the gun. Tom Barrasso got caught out of his net, and the Blackhawks were able to get it in front. Look at the people trying to act as second and third goalies for Tom Barrasso. Samuelson and also Larry Murphy. Another look at the goal that tied it. This is the goal that, the goal that won it, not the goal that tied it. They've been coming so quickly. The shot was a rebound shot. Mario Lemieux moved in just from his point position and was able to jam it over Eddie Belfour. Eddie Belfour is down. And this is the Pittsburgh reaction at the end.
The Chicago streak has ended. Pittsburgh has extended 5-4 win as we pause for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup Championships are on Sports Channel America.
In the game, Pittsburgh 5, Chicago 4. Let's take a look at our Northwest Airlines summary of the game. Chicago started off strongly. At 6:34, Chris Chelios on the power play from Brent Sutter. Then Michel Goulet unassisted at 13:17. 26 seconds later, Dirk Graham, the captain of the team, from Chris Chelios, 13:43. That made it 3-0. Phil Bourque on the power play from Tocchet and Francis at 17:26. 3-1 Chicago at the end of the first. Brent Sutter got what would be the last Blackhawks goal of the night, but you'd never have guessed it at that time. Larmer assisting at 11:36. Then came the Penguins. Tocchet from Stanton and McEachern at 15:24. Mario Lemieux, the first of two from Stevens at 16:23. Into the third. Boy, you think back. Tom Barrasso, great save on Roenick on the power play. Ed Belfour without a stick came up with a save. Finally, Jaromir Jagr tied the game at 15:05. And Mario Lemieux with his second of the night, fourth winning goal of the playoffs. Sixth power play goal from Murphy and Francis. You got to watch it one more time. We take a look at the shots on goal. 39-34. The Penguins with the advantage in the first and third periods, and you watch a textbook play off the face-off. Ron Francis wins it and persists and gets it back to Larry Murphy, and the shot gets through. And the rebound comes right back across. And our guest here following the game is the guy who brought the joint to jumping. It looked like a pretty quiet house, and it sounded like that one for the longest time, Mario, but congratulations.
Thank you, Mike.
This contest started out with a lot of talk about Chicago's hitting game and the fact that they'd be making you pay out there. Did you do a little self-talk to yourself about expecting some of that?
Yeah, I think the whole team was ready for that. They certainly play a different style than Boston. I think they play similar to the Rangers and Washington, and we had two tough series against both teams, but they're a great team. They got a lot of good players, and they're going to be tough to beat, that's for sure.
Well, we were just counting up the number of wins that your team has had so far. Out of the 13 games you've won, 6 have been come from behind wins, and you didn't seem to wilt at all, even though you were down 3 goals twice.
Well, you know, we have so many players that can put the puck in the net on our team. The play that Jagr made at the end was superb. It was a great goal, one of the best I've ever seen. He beat 3-4 guys at once, and that brought us back in the game, and power play goal at the end.
Well, you two guys have put together a number of highlight video type plays this year. Did you feel that it was going to happen for you if you kept going tonight? Or at one point in the third period when the goals weren't coming for the first 15 minutes, do you think, by gosh, these guys may have a shutdown?
Yeah, they every time they take the lead, they're very tough to play against, and we were fortunate enough to get a couple goals in the third, and we kept working out there. I think we stole one tonight. We shouldn't have won this game, but that's the way it is sometimes in the playoffs. You steal one, and hopefully that's going to get us going.
Yeah, I think there was similar conversation your team might have had after the first game in Boston, but isn't that the mark of teams that succeed, though? They seem to find a way to win, even if it winds up being late.
Well, that's what we've done last year, and again this year. That's what we've done in the playoffs. You know, you look back at the Washington series, trailing 3-1 in the series. The Rangers again 2-1, and we never quit out there. We just kept working and paid off at the end.
Thanks very much for joining us. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Mike.
Mario Lemieux has joined us again in one of our Stanley Cup telecasts here from Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The bench is watching and the bench is rejoicing. Part of this that Mario could not see after he potted that one to win for his team in Game 1 of these finals, 5-4. The Docker save of the night comes in the waning seconds after Pittsburgh has gone ahead 5-4. Scramble around the net. Tom Barrasso and his defense will not yield at all, and the puck squirts wide, and that does it. Chicago, 34 shots in the course of the game. They got 4 in, but those were early. Pittsburgh scored late. Gentlemen?
Outstanding night, wasn't it? What a great hockey game. Anybody that tuned in late saw a fantastic finish. And I think at the beginning, the way, and even through the second and early third period, the way Chicago was forechecking, you'd say, boy, they can't be beaten tonight.
I thought Chicago stuck to their game plan really well for just about the entire game. The Tocchet goal was a deflection, and you go back at the goals that Pittsburgh scored. The one thing, though, about playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and teams have learned this the hard way, it's like walking a tightrope. I mean, you can stay up there just for so long, and finally you fall because of the individual talent that the Pittsburgh Penguins have. It took a fabulous individual effort by Jaromir Jagr, and then everything happening right on the last play of the game, basically, at least that last face-off by the Penguins, for it to work with the Penguins, because the Chicago played a very solid game. They should be happy.
Key point here, of course, is the fact that Pittsburgh had just killed off a penalty, and now they get the power play, and here's the way they lined up, Bill.
Well, they lined up with Ron Francis taking the draw. Naturally, what he wants to do is drop back to Larry Murphy. Now, he's lining up against Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter comes out to about here and gets a swat at the puck, and I suspect that's why Steve Larmer drifts out here looking for an offensive play. But as Larmer drifts out, Lemieux will drift right by him. So watch Larmer and Lemieux as that faceoff is being won. They just cross paths here. We can stop it right here and show. See Larmer, he's digging in. He looks like Brent Sutter's going to get the puck, so he wants to get down at this stage. 17 seconds left. The game is tied. Mario, on the other hand, is gambling that his guy Larry Murphy is going to get it through, and Mario wins the gamble because the shot actually gets through to Eddie Belfour, and I think it might have been tipped along the way, and that's why he had a lot of trouble handling it. And Lemieux, as he drifted by Larmer, was able to just pick it up and dump it up into the net over Belfour.
One of the areas in the series that we thought would be key for both teams was goaltending. And early on, Tom Barrasso wasn't that sharp, got stronger as the game went along, I thought. I don't think Ed Belfour had a game that he'll remember.
Well, I think when you look at some of the goals that were scored, they were right under goaltenders, especially under Eddie Belfour, and those are goals that they realized they can stop. There was also a goal that was scored right under the right pad. Brent Sutter scored one under Tom Barrasso. I think if the goaltending had been as sharp as we've seen in earlier series, the score would have been lower. I'm not sure that the differential would have been any different. I'm not sure that the Blackhawks could have pulled it out because Pittsburgh's talent just overcame Chicago's forechecking. But I really look for real solid goaltending in the next game.
Yeah, and in the end, it's number 66 and number 68 that get the job done. Referring to Mario Lemieux, of course, with the game winner, and Jaromir Jagr, who tied it up for the Pittsburgh Penguins. A little time to think about this before they come back for Thursday night, and we hope you'll be with us. As I said at the outset, best of 13 would be nice. Mike?
Well, the streak of the Chicago Blackhawks ends at 11. For 1 month and 5 days, the Blackhawks were unbeaten. It must be a grueling thing for them to now have endured. John Davidson spoke with Rich Preston, assistant coach.
Richie, is there anything in the third period you felt you didn't do that you did through the first two periods?
Well, we didn't go at them as hard as we could have, JD. Our forechecking, that's a big part of our game, and I think a big thing was we gave bad dump ins. Like Barrasso plays the puck well, and he's a big part of their game breaking out, and he played the puck a lot and just got it out for him.
It was a power play goal, obviously a disappointing loss. What can you guys build on for game two after a disappointing loss?
Well, the guys played well. We played a good physical game, type of game we wanted to play, but you can't blow a 3-goal lead. 3 up, we're up 3-0 and then 4-1. And you can't do that, and their stars came through.
Power plays late in the game. Your thoughts on the calls?
Well, I think Andy called it. I think he called it good both ways. I mean, he had to call both of them, and I thought he called a good game.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
One of the finest goals I've ever seen, Mario Lemieux said about his teammates' effort on this one. This was with just under 5 minutes to play, and his team was trailing at that point when Jaromir Jagr just grabbed the game by the throat and shook it, moving in and letting a backhander go that tied it at 4. In the waning seconds, Pittsburgh won it. They're up 1-0 in the series. The clock was winking down under 20 seconds when the rebound came out for Mario Lemieux, his second of the night and 13th of the series with 13 seconds to go. He sure did put his signature on this contest. You see the number 66 right underneath it, the most famous set of numbers that they've had in Pittsburgh in a long time for any of their many successful sports teams. Chicago wanted to play the hitting game, and they did, and Pittsburgh wanted to present the best moving target that they could and get away. And in the latter stages, they seemed to. Chicago, I think, is in the same position Boston was after Game 1. They played their best game. They played as good a game as they could, even though they let Pittsburgh back into it, and they lost the game. Now, will they recover better than Boston did? I think so. It's a team that seems to be made of a good deal of mental stability. We'll see, though. That'll be the one that we'll be watching for when Game 2 comes about, just 2 nights from now, 7:30 Eastern on Sports Channel America. Game 2 of this Stanley Cup Final Series between the Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Game 1 ended with 13 seconds to go, although the thrills weren't over in that last-minute skirmish. But when it was all done and the last bear hug released, the Penguins had won it by a score of 5-4. For our crew here in Pittsburgh, we say good night, and we'll join you again on Thursday.